Welcome into the kitchen. Hello, friends. Of course, as soon as we started, my phone started beeping and buzzing. Let me ignore that. Good to see all of you. Welcome back to the kitchen. Oh my goodness. About a half an hour ago, new release notes dropped. We are getting Zoom 5. What is it? No, 6.0. What is it going to be? 6.0? We're on
Zoom 6.
5.17.
They're calling it Zoom 6 internally. Whether it will be Zoom 6 is another matter, but that's what what most of the members of Zoom are calling it.
It looks like that's what we're getting on Monday. But before
It's coming over the weekend. That's the way it's being sold internally to Zoom. So they're all
yeah,
saying it's
the
coming
release
this
notes,
weekend.
the release note said on Monday, so we will see. And we'll jump into all that in just a second. Let's just real quick make the rounds. Say hello to everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hello to
Hello, Mr.
everybody.
Hello,
Franklin.
everybody.
Hi, Ray. How
How
are
you
you?
doing? All well, David.
Good, 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 good. And Lord Zoom, how you doing, John?
Oh, having great fun. Having great fun.
I'm so
Don't.
glad to hear that.
I'm surprised we haven't had a physical Zoom device. You just clip to your head and just walk around and. Maybe this could be
Is
the
it-
new word.
You mean-
I've
Isn't
been
that the Vision
Zoomified.
Pro?
That's
Isn't that
not
the
from
Vision
Zoom?
Pro?
That
Yeah,
thing?
but there's a Zoom app. Easy peasy. Hasmuk, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing those beautiful meters in. You're more beautiful than the meters, but we're happy to have both of you. Mr. Lada, how are you, Mike?
Good. Been busy, and I don't know if anybody heard, but you guys are talking about the release notes from Zoom, and I just watched the 2 hour and I think it was almost 45-minute presentation from Blackmagic Design.
I didn't know that they had a thingy dingy.
Yes.
I've watched it twice and I still don't understand it, Mike.
Well, I do have some screenshots that I can share a little bit later.
Well, that's cool. All right. I had no idea Blackmagic was doing something. Okay. Fantastic. Lois, how are you?
I'm doing well. John, your voice sounds really strange right now. I don't know if it's just me, but everybody else sounds the same, but yours is different.
Well,
I'm so
You
excited.
know those
John
little,
is a different
this
kind
is
of
not
guy.
like that
So.
kind of, those little things. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, did you all notice that we had an eclipse? Wow.
Did.
It was incredible.
I slept through it. I actually didn't sleep. I was wide awake, not paying attention to it. I probably should have. But you know what? I don't need an eclipse. I don't need a natural wonder of nature, a miracle, because I've got Frank.
Wow,
Are you
that's
saying-
not saying a whole lot, is it?
Frank is an eclipse, huh?
The segues are plenty today. I'm seeing it.
How are you doing, Frank?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Good. Good to see you. All right. And there's yet another friend coming in who I just saw, Joe Phillips. His camera isn't on right now, but the reason I'm pointing him out is not only that are we happy to have him here, but he had a Quest Paskin Segway.ai. Thank you. But he had a question that he posted over in our Discord that I absolutely don't know the answer to. So I thought maybe we could talk about it here. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Great. How are y'all doing?
We're doing pretty good. Do you want to do you mind sharing your question with us here so that we can see what we can do for you?
Probably for someone who's more experienced in Zoom Room, this is actually a Zoom Room question. It has to do with, I have a Zoom Room that I schedule to join daily that my colleagues will join into throughout the day. It's sort of our water cooler area that everybody comes and goes to. So we crank it up every morning and shut it down in the evening. When that Zoom Room cranks up from a calendar schedule, it goes into the room and always has the mic hot. It goes in unmuted. I've gone into the PMI settings. I've gone into the Zoom Room settings. I've gone into the schedule settings for the meeting. and set to mute when you enter. All the participants who come in, it works correctly. They're muted. If the Zoom room is not the one that starts the meeting, but the second participant that joins a meeting in progress, it's muted. It's only when it creates the meeting from the schedule that it creates it in an unmuted fashion. And I'm a day and a half into back and forth with support right now, and thought I would throw it out here just in case somebody may have run into it previously.
A question for you, Joe. Is the thing that's coming in first, is it the host? And if it comes in second, it's not the host? Is there a host difference?
Yeah, I've played with that from the standpoint, I can have the host of this meeting come in and start the meeting, but have it set to where the host always enters the meeting muted. The host goes in muted on a regular client.
Mm-hmm.
It's only this unmuted into the meeting only seems to appear from the Zoom room if it's the first participant in the meeting. And of course, when it goes in by proxy, it becomes the host.
Mm.
And maybe it's, I don't know. Anyway, that's
so
question
on
to
the on the second person, you say they have it set so they go in as the host and they go in muted. Where is the setting that says mute the host on entry? Is that set at a higher level, at the meeting level?
There is several places I think that can be set. One is in the schedule for the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
All participants who join muted. I think if the client is the host and they have their device set to enter the meeting unmuted, they will. But if they are just a regular participant, even if their client is set to enter the meeting unmuted, they're muted. I'm thinking it has something to do with the fact that the Zoom room, even though it may not be its regular meeting, it's just coming in as a client, but because it starts it assumes it's a host because it actually gets host powers when it starts that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's done by design.
Yeah, it's a
It's
feature,
the way
not
the
an
system
issue.
was designed to always do it. And Frank has just pulled up some support tech which supports that that premise that if you do a mute all command, even though it's a user, the Zoom room will not be muted. Its microphone stays on.
Understood.
I believe it's one of these things which, when they originally designed the Zoom rooms, they decided it was a good idea to get the microphone on. And considering all the problem I have with room systems where you can never get the microphone on, it does sound like a pretty good idea to start with. I have a feeling this is one of these, this is the way we designed it originally, and all the other features have not yet overpowered that particular setting. And it's like it's got sort of godlike status, and everything else that you use on top of it's not working. That's a polite way of saying that's where it is at the moment, Joe. But it's like all these things. When you work out all the different variations of people in the world, there's always a reason why you might want that feature to be different.
Joe,
Yeah.
I am not familiar with Zoom rooms, so I'm not familiar with how different they are than having a regular account. When the Zoom room is going into a meeting, are you able to give it extra commands? In other words, you give it a sequence of commands, you push a button and it does this and then this and then this, or not? If you are, maybe you can just give it another command that says mute itself.
Yeah, no, it doesn't offer that feature.
Okay.
That level of granularity in the process. But again, it's John, just like you said, it's really designed for C-level people to, by default, make it work first. And I believe that's it. It's a feature, not an issue for me. So we'll work around it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you have a DSP in the room?
No.
No? So you're not using some sort of
Can you just define DSP for us, Frank? Sorry.
digital signal processing? Usually in a real Zoom room, like a corporate Zoom room, you're going to have something like Biamp or something, or Crest, and then you'll probably have like a touch panel like a Crestron or AMX.
No.
And then usually you have a person who does the programming. And then let's say on the Crestron or the AMX touch panel, in the programming, you can tell the DSP to mute when you press the mute button, or there's other things you can do in the programming.
Yeah. Now, this particular environment is a PC that is controlled by an iPad that is logged in as the controller.
Sure. So it's just the bare bones sort of Zoom room.
Yeah. It's not the high end side.
The only other thing I can think of, I don't use Zoom rooms really. In some clients, there's an admin IT version where you can set additional flags on how the software behaves, but I'm not certain if Zoom Rooms has that or not. I'd have to go read up on it.
Yeah, like I said, I've still got an open support ticket out. So ultimately,
Sure.
we'll see what they come back with, and I'll report back with the resolution or the
Sure.
actuality of the situation.
Yeah, so I mean, I know for the regular Zoom client, there's an MSI version, which is like an admin version. In there, there's more options that you can configure how the client behaves. I would guess there's probably something similar for Zoom Rooms, but I've never actually deployed a Zoom Room myself, so I don't know.
Joe, when you say the meeting's going to start and things are coming in, and if this one's first, this happens, and if somebody else is first, then it doesn't happen. Is there an automation on getting people into that meeting? Is there a way? Are you timing it? Are you saying come in at 3:01 or 2:59 or whatever? Or is it just when you happen to turn it on? How is it? Is it that different things come in at different times?
Yeah. Well, this meeting is controlled by the a calendar integration. So the Zoom room is pointing to a Google Gmail account that has this particular calendar in it. Starts it real early in the morning and runs it all through the day up into the evening, and then shuts the meeting down. That way, either regular one accounts or basic accounts can come into the meeting and come and go. It's like I said, it's the water cooler type area. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, somebody with admin rights will come in and launch the breakout rooms in there. So if somebody needs to go into a breakout room, they can. The calendar is what starts and stops the meeting, and then everybody comes and goes at will.
So if you have a calendar to start the meeting, perhaps you could have a calendar for your Zoom room with it, which is like a minute later, so that you're simply timing it so that they're never first. Or maybe, is there a human being involved in the starting, or is it just automated on the calendar?
Automation.
Okay, so that wouldn't work. I was thinking if you had a waiting room, then if the Zoom room was in the waiting room, then when it came in, it would come in muted.
But isn't the Zoom room
starts at 12:01 a.m., doesn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I started it after midnight and kill it before midnight. So it's an all-day meeting.
Isn't the Zoom room the thing that's opening the meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not, that's the Zoom room is what's opening the meeting. It's not a separate thing.
Well, then how can somebody else have gotten there first?
Well, no, if let's say somebody beat it by it starts a few minutes after midnight. So if you come in at 12:01 and join the meeting as just a regular participant, then the Zoom room launches its schedule. It comes in second at that point. And then at that point, it will be muted because it just thinks it's a participant in an existing meeting.
Okay.
Instead of being the one that created the meeting and started it. not or just started in the meeting.
Joe,
So
does
this
does the
means
Zoom-
that people can join before the meeting is scheduled.
Oh yes. And
All
if
right.
if they have a paid account, then they can continue past the 40-minute barrier.
All right.
But if it's a basic account, they could only be in the meeting for 40 minutes. The Zoom
Yeah.
room keeps the meeting up, no matter if they're a basic account or a
Right.
paid account.
I'm confused. They can only be in the meeting for 40 minutes?
No, no. If they start the meeting will end in 40 minutes, but this is somebody else's meeting, so it's not going to end after 40 minutes.
What you just said that if they
So
have
if a basic user comes in, I've set this meeting up and the Zoom room hasn't started it, and they use that link and start the meeting. If a paid account does not join that meeting in the first 40 minutes, it disconnects.
Right. Okay, that I understand. So when the Zoom room comes in, because so first of all, there is a setting to disallow people from joining before host.
Right.
Oh, yes.
So
but I
you-
don't set that.
Right, but presumably you could, and that would solve your problem.
No, it wouldn't, because that would force it to be the Zoom room being the first person. He wants somebody else to be first.
Well, again, they could be first if the Zoom room, let's say for some reason the Zoom room failed and did not work. At least they could get in. Two basic account users could talk to each other for 40 minutes.
Okay.
If I lock the meeting down that the host has to be there, then they could not use that link without the
Right.
Zoom room present.
Right. Understood. So there is when someone else joins your meeting, essentially starts your meeting without you as host. When you come back in, there's usually a reclaim host button.
Yes.
It's automatic
Yes.
usually.
Yeah.
No, it's not automatic. It's
So
definitely not automatic.
when
You got a
I-
button.
If the Zoom room's cranked up early in the morning and let's say at 5 a.m. I jump onto the meeting, as soon as I join the meeting, I get either reclaim host or stay co-host. And I stay co-host and let the Zoom room maintain host status throughout the entire day. That way, if I disconnect abruptly or what have you, it's the host, it's got the meeting.
Right. So what I'm wondering is there a way to automate if someone else jumps into that meeting first, so they are for all intents and purposes the host until the Zoom room joins. When the Zoom room joins, is there a way to automate the Zoom room pressing that reclaim host button?
So
that it
I think you
becomes
guys are missing something. That reclaim host thing, that only is there if someone has claimed host. If I have a meeting, which I do all the time, and other people come into that space, I'm not there, they come in, there is no host. There is no host unless somebody claims it or unless the person who created the meeting comes in and then they're automatically a host.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the Zoom room, the way it functions is when it joins that meeting, it is the host from the get-go.
Right. Right.
If it's the first.
Even if
But
it's
if it's
the
not the
second.
first, if it's the second, it's just a participant.
Does that mean that the first one in has been given host? Because that's not
No,
usual.
the first one in, they're not host either. And if
There's
if
no
you go
host.
on the Zoom controller and say leave the meeting, normally if you're a host, it says leave or in for all.
And it doesn't
only
come up
says
that
leave.
way. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
Okay.
same way for everybody. But
I think I have a
when-
solution for you. And as always, mine's going to be a low-tech solution. If you come in and your Zoom room comes in with a hot microphone, right? Just don't have the microphone plugged in. No sound. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if the microphone's hot or not.
that is one solution. But if we wanted to use the microphone, then we've got to go through the added feature of that. One of the things I've thought about is the VB Voice banana cable solution. Create a virtual audio and then run it in that way, and then manipulate that somehow and fade that down. The particular particular device that I have it hooked to is actually for the monitor. It's the one right behind me here. It's a P21 Polycom that has the camera, speaker, and microphone all integrated. And the little Melee PC that's plugged to it sees all those devices. And I physically cannot unconnect the microphone because the software sees it by default. It's
You could
physically attached
choose-
to that one USB cable.
You could go into before you get into the meeting, you could go into your Zoom for the Zoom room and choose a different microphone which is not currently connected. So on your
The
list of
software
things,
won't let you.
I have a whole bunch of microphones that don't
Oh,
exist.
yeah, in a regular client. The Zoom Room appliance software is
Okay.
vastly different.
All right. So then ignore me.
So, like I said, I believe the jury's out. It's probably, like John said, I think it's a feature, not an issue. It's just the way it is. And if that ends up being the case, we'll let you know.
If you think about the setup of a Zoom room, you would usually expect some sort of audio device to be in the room, and therefore, when they designed it, I expect they thought, like I would logically, that you want the audio control to be on that device and not confuse it by having to go and turn on the Zoom room. So they turn on the Zoom room, and your audio device, in your case the Polycom, would be expected to be the audio control that people would turn on and turn off in the room. And that's all fine, except when you come into a situation like yours when there might not be anybody in the room to turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
Is
And,
there-
and again, it was probably as the evolution of this product happened is if you go into a device like this and you hit the start button, you assume that you want to talk as soon as it connects. And then the ability to schedule that into a meeting probably came later. And thus we have this.
Joe, when you have the meeting scheduled, now the Zoom room is one thing, and then you also have separately a Zoom client that's Joe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe or
So-
Lois or
or
whoever
whatever.
else who's
So-
going
so
to join
you can
the
have
meeting.
two of those. So if the meeting itself were owned by Joe instead of by Zoom room, then when Zoom room joined, it would be joining Joe's meeting. It would not automatically take over hostness because it didn't own the meeting. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that will work, but you could try
it
it.
would work, but Joe would have to get up at 12:05 every
No.
night, start the meeting.
Joe wouldn't
and,
have to automate it.
Joe, there's a setting for meetings, assuming that there's no there's a passcode set and there's no waiting room called join before host. And if you turn that join before host on, you can set it to be able to be started either anytime. I usually recommend to clients that you set the 15-minute window, but you could schedule it for 12:15 to, be started. Anyone could start it after that, 15 minutes before, so 12:01. And then, as Lois is alluding to, you set the mute all participants when they join the meeting. That should mute the Zoom room, I would think.
Oh, it does. What you're describing is exactly how it reacts and works, and how the meeting is set up. I've set up that anybody can join before the host.
Mhm.
It just happens that if the Zoom room joins, it becomes the host. It actually gets superpowers that a regular non-host participant gets when they join the meeting.
Okay.
But that's because it's the owner of the meeting.
No, it's not. It's actually not. The owner of the meeting is me and my account. The Zoom room is actually
Oh.
using another account to go into it. I want
That
it to go
must-
in.
Yeah,
Okay.
that must be a feature of Zoom Rooms, and I've
It
only
is.
used the small personal version of Zoom Rooms before, because it's not normal for a person who joins before host to be able to become the host unless they know the host key and they use the claim host button in the participant window. So that must be a Zoom Rooms thing. I'll have to research a little bit.
Well, I'm sorry we weren't able to fix your problem, Joe, but yeah.
No, but I really appreciate everybody's help. And again, like I said, we're still waiting for the final result from Zoom support. So when we get that, we'll report.
Can I ask an ancillary question? So
Yes.
if someone joins before the Zoom room, and they're, as Ray just said, and they don't claim host, or yeah, they don't claim host.
They're just a participant.
Right. As Lois said, there's no host to that meeting. I'm curious what that means and what the implications of that are. What are the implications of having a hostless meeting?
I actually am in this situation all the time.
Oh,
because-
and Ray Hardwood just found the answer.
Oh, good.
Sorry, hold on my question while I bring this up for us.
So, how to enable joining as a Zoom Rooms host? This support article says you go to the Zoom web portal, go to Room Management, Zoom Rooms, click Account Settings, click the Meeting tab, and under the Zoom Rooms heading, verify that the toggle for Make Zoom Rooms the host if it joins before meeting host and other participants is either enabled or disabled. So there's a switch there that tells Zoom Rooms to become the host if it joins first. You should be able to disable that, and that hopefully will make that stop happening.
I'll
I
give
don't know
that
all
a
the
try.
answers, but I
I'm
know how to
wondering
find
if
them.
the only other thing that I'm wondering, it's a side effect, and I just have to try it and see, is if it's the only one in the meeting at that point, if the 40-minute limitation enacts
So
and
the
it shuts the
40-minute
room
limitation is tied to the meeting owner. So if the meeting owner is a basic account, it's 40 minutes, regardless of who joins, regardless of when they join, regardless of who else joins. And if the owner of the meeting is a licensed account, the meeting will stay for 30 hours.
down. Okay. I will give that a try.
But Joe, you said that hasn't been your experience, has it?
Well, I have never tried to join the room with a non-participant and take it past the 40-minute mark to see if that functionality will go.
So I'm part of a genealogy club, and the owner of the actual meeting is never in the Monday working group. And we show up, there is no host. We show up, we're there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, just people coming and going, chatting, all that stuff. No host at all. And it has never shut down. It isn't a problem. The only problem comes if we want to do something like breakout rooms or something else that requires hostness. And we don't, we're just talking. So I don't think you have to worry about it being shut off after 40 minutes. But I have a more basic question, Joe. You've got this water cooler meeting and people can come into it anytime. So I could go in there and I could sit there I'm a paid account. I could sit there all day, or I could come and go. Why does the Zoom room even need to be there? Since it's not talking to anybody, it's not a human being. Why do you even need it? You could do without it.
The thing that it does is start the meeting and keep the meeting up. I've got people who don't have a paid account.
It doesn't matter if they have a paid account or not. People with free accounts can come into your meeting. If the host of the meeting is a paid account,
Someone has to be there,
And-
Lois.
no,
If everybody leaves, the meeting goes away.
it does. But you can set it up so anybody can come into the meeting at any time. So there's no meeting until somebody goes, they go to that spot, they get in, and now there's a meeting. It's only one person, but it's there.
Yeah.
They leave, it closes, somebody else comes, it opens. There isn't any need to have a meeting open unless you restrict it that other people can't come in.
The reason we do this was twofold. First of all, it gets us 720 for everybody, especially even the basic accounts. But more importantly, from a workflow standpoint with our teams, we'll have some breakout rooms. If we got two members are working on a project, they'll jump down in there to the breakout room.
Okay.
Everybody else will hang out in the black. It works very similar to after hours does. They'll hang around. Somebody has a question. They'll go open mic. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Anybody know about this? Somebody else will come on. If we didn't have that feature and had the meeting kept up and there all day long for anybody to jump in and out of it will, it's sort of a push to talk intercom system for all the team members. And then if they're working on something, they go to the breakout rooms.
Joe, why wouldn't you use huddles for this? It sounds like this is exactly what huddles is.
Yeah, we've explored huddles. The only problem is everybody that goes to huddles, my understanding is, has to be a paid account. And we may have a contract.
They have to be part of your, right, they have to be part of your
got to be
org.
part of our ecosystem.
Gotcha.
Our company, we deal with a lot of, there's more subcontractors in our organization than there are us. So we have people come in from time to time and they may not be in our domain.
Yeah, that's something huddles is going to have to address at some point, allowing it to open up to other people. Okay, well, you have something to test for us. This this toggling that joining as a Zoom Rooms host that Frank found. I'm sorry, that Ray found for us. So thank you, Ray, and thank you, Joe, for bringing this up. This is fantastic. Good stuff.
So, Joe, when you have your Zoom room open the meeting, and do you have a slide or some words on a screen or something that explains to people what to do or where things are? Or doesn't it take a human being to make breakout rooms? Can you automate that part with the Zoom room? Tell us a little more about this Zoom room thing, okay?
Yeah, with the Zoom room, I can actually create a list, a CSV file of user accounts and rooms. And I can even set it once they join into the main room. If, let's say, I don't have a waiting room turned on, they just come into the main session. They are prompted to go into their breakout room. So we'll have breakout rooms by different divisions of our employees for whatever work unit they work with. They'll have a breakout room and they can go straight into there, or they can choose to stay in the main room and go black. And then once they do that, those rooms are created through that CSV file that's loaded into the meeting schedule.
So here's a question for Frank. If that Zoom room has started the meeting and it's now the host, and we're an hour into the day, and somebody else comes in and there's funny noises coming from the Zoom room because the microphone's on, is there any way for anyone other than that non-human Zoom room to be able to mute it? It's the host. Can anybody mute the host at all, or are we just out of luck?
Two ways for it to happen. First of all is if I give trusted other team members the code to take take host status of that Zoom room, they can do that. Also, I can log in to, if I'm physically not here with the Zoom room on a tablet, the controller here, I can log in through my account and launch the controller from my list of Zoom rooms in my user account.
So you're saying that because you own the meeting, you can overpower the current host?
Yes.
Okay. Can't see it, Frank.
Ray, what did you just post in there for us? Ray just posted.
He was talking about the host. It's called the host key. It's located. Everybody has one. It's on your profile page, And as Joe rightly referred to, you give that to someone trusted. It doesn't have to be, you know, what I loan you $1,000 trusted, but you don't just put it out on a website for everybody to use. You give it to someone trusted, and if they join your meeting before the host, they can click a button on the panelist and become the host.
Right. That's
But the other thing that Joe mentioned is, you know, if you are the owner of the meeting and you join the meeting when someone else is the host,
Yeah.
you get a little pop-up that says, would you like to reclaim the host or not? And you can reclaim it at that point.
So if you
But
go
the-
to your, hold on one second, let's just want to show people, if you go to zoom.us and you go into your profile,
you want to
can
spotlight
see-
that, please?
Yep. You can
Thank you.
see your, you'll see your host key under the meeting information. So you've got your meeting ID, a personal meeting ID right here, and then your host key is right down here, which I'm not going to reveal right now.
And to the far right of that is an edit button, and you can actually edit your host key. I recommend to people who, you know, like nonprofits and that sort of thing that share this host key out regularly to change that host key about once a quarter, just to keep it from getting too far and widely known.
So that host key only works for you to claim host if there is no host. It doesn't mean that I, as a participant, could go and take away hostness from Ray, who started out as another participant, then he claimed host, and I could go claim from him. It doesn't work that way. Once a
First person
host,
to claim the host, the first person to claim the host gets it.
until
for
the
whatever-
owner
right.
arrives.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I think we've beaten that one into the ground. What's next?
By the way, I just want to say, yes, I realize that we've now seen the host key when I clicked edit. But don't worry, because I never start meetings with that account. That's my OSC account that just joined. So even if someone wants to go back and write down my host key, it's not going to do them any good. Okay. That was good stuff, though. All right. So
Yeah,
what is
I was
next?
watching the YouTube channel and heard the discussion. I had to hop on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
And
good
you-
that we
you-
can entice people, y'all out there, come on, come join us.
You
Yeah.
gotta come. You gotta come. I mean, and this week, we're just we're it's the calm before the storm. We're just anticipating. Next week, it's going to be a whole new show. Like it's literally going to look different. We'll be able to. My Apple thumbs up is on. Did I thumbs up? God, for the love of God, I don't know how to turn it off. Okay, look, folks, hold on. Just so
We'd
look,
all
so
all like to learn this thing, how to turn this off.
right. So here's the thing. I know we worked on this last week. Here's the thing, right? In Zoom, I don't have the option. I don't have anything here. I don't have.
Of course
any-
you don't. It's an Apple feature, not a Zoom feature.
No, but this is a Zoom. No, this is in my Apple. This is an app. I'm looking at the Apple. See reactions for Video Pencil. I have them turned off. For this, I have it. I have it turned off everywhere. I don't. I don't know. On all my calendars, it's turned off. Not calendars. All my cameras, it's turned off.
What about your Zoom account, your personal Zoom account?
But it's not a Zoom thing. It's as he said, it's an Apple thing.
What do you mean it's not a Zoom thing? Your reactions is a Zoom thing.
No, the what we were just talking about is that's
If
the
you
Apple.
if you
thumbs up.
disable your reactions in your Zoom account, then
No,
there's
Louis.
nothing to trigger.
It's a function in the Mac.
I
And
understand that
it
the
comes
Mac
out.
is
Those are
triggering
separate.
the Zoom.
No,
No,
they're separate.
no.
The one's Zoom and one's Mac.
Check
Are
the
we
chat,
sure the
David.
Zoom one is turned? I'm still checking. Are we sure the Zoom one is turned off?
See, that's where I think it is.
Yeah.
The Zoom. All right, so let's look into my settings here.
Settings general,
It's not meeting settings, though. It's personal settings.
under general, and then under reactions. Down below. There you
Yeah.
go.
Zoom
activate based
reactions
on
don't have
recognition.
balloons.
So yeah, it's turned off.
Right. It doesn't have
it-
any of those functions that Mac has.
So what we're talking, just so people know, so there is in Zoom, I can get a thumbs up or raise my hand by doing hand gestures, which I thought was really cool until I talk with my hands, and so I have that turned off. So that's not what I'm dealing with. This is an Apple thing, and I, for the life of me, cannot figure out how to turn it off.
David, show us the thumbs up for the people that don't have Macs.
What do I do? Just this? I don't even know how to do it.
There it goes.
Yeah.
I put the answer in the chat for you.
Well, okay. Well, just tell me what's the answer. No, but see,
Look at the here. Let me
I
screen
know
share.
that. No, I have it. I have it right here. Booby. But
Yeah.
look, I don't have that option.
You don't have a green camera icon
No.
anywhere in your menu bar.
No, I have a green camera icon, but when I go to the Zoom option, which is exactly what you have at the top, the Zoom.us, I don't have the reactions thing. All I have is mic mode.
Are you running Ecamm into Zoom, David?
Yeah,
Then it might be Ecamm.
I have it turned off in Ecamm. If I go over to Ecamm, it's turned off.
I've had that problem too, and only recently added a Mac, so it's
Sorry.
totally confused me.
Anyways.
And David, I've been doing training, hybrid training events, and the very same thing. I feed my OBS with NDI, and I have the very same problem. I cannot get out of the purple button, which tends to be screen share mode, and get it back to a green. And when I go through all the sources and all the camera picks, the reactions button is not there. And mine
Yeah.
will also do portrait mode for some reason also. And it's
So
probably
I just turned reactions on. And now I'm going to turn it off. It's off.
Yeah.
Reactions in Zoom or
Congratulations.
reactions in Mac?
OSX. Apple.
But
Okay, so
I don't have that button.
but
What operating
David,
system are you on?
David.
What version of OS of Apple are you on? Mac operating system are you on?
I always run the latest. I'm running 14.4.1.
Frank,
I don't
is
know.
it?
I don't know why you don't see it.
Frank, can you shut that off at the system level?
Yeah, I just did. That's how I had
No,
it
I
work,
mean-
and then
So it's like a system overwrite. So it doesn't matter.
you
what
have
app-
to be in an app that uses webcams. So you have to be in FaceTime or Zoom or something that invokes it. Then it shows up in your menu bar. Then you click on it, and then you get the option to turn the reactions on or off.
Or you don't get that option.
Or-
Apparently for you.
so David, I'm wondering if maybe sometime in the past you got some cute little app that gave you these functions before Apple did anything like that, and that it's still in there, and it's because I could do this all day long, and my Apple is not going to do anything about it.
I understand that, but that's because you have it turned off. Mine is stuck in the on position, and I don't know why. Although
Do you
you did just
have
get
any-
you did just thumbs up.
What do you mean? I did just some.
So first of all, you're frozen. Well, you froze for a second, or you're frozen for me.
But that was Zoom.
Yeah, that's Zoom. You gave a thumbs up in Zoom.
Yes, but that's a Zoom thing, right?
We're not
Right.
talking about a Zoom thing. We're talking about a Mac
Understand?
Okay.
thing. Right. I have the
What-
same problem, David. I can't. There's certain things that are supposed to give me that reactions, and it doesn't. And I have the latest software.
All right, let's not dwell. Let's not dwell.
Honest, David, I was just letting you know that it was
Oh
on.
yeah, sure. You caused a whole thing, Mike. Caused a whole thing. I I will say, I will just say one more thing about this, Frank, and that is that if you look at your little screen with the dude in it at the top where you have that, where those options are, it's green right now, correct?
Yep, because I'm in a call.
Correct. So mine
What it
is
considers, I just wonder if maybe it doesn't recognize Ecamm as one of the apps that it.
I'm in the call through Zoom. It should recognize Zoom. I have Zoom open.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know why
It's not green, so I'm sure that's why there's some disconnect there.
Yeah, when it turns green, that means you can invoke it or disallow it. That's. I don't know if there's another place in the operating system where you can directly access it besides that green camera icon.
Yep. Okay.
According to the notes I have, you have to be in FaceTime to disable it.
FaceTime's one of the ones that are recognized. I know Zoom is another one that's recognized.
Yeah, we did this last week.
Yeah, that's why we bothered your daughter and embarrassed her, because I was saying if you got into a FaceTime call, it should light up that green camera icon, and you should be able to turn it off.
Right.
Once you can get to the camera.
So you actually don't even need to be in a call. So I just opened FaceTime, and it actually didn't turn green, but I could turn off reactions in FaceTime. Let's see if that's not going to make a difference. I don't think.
That should do.
That's the Zoom. Isn't that the Zoom one? I don't know.
No, the
Anyways,
Zoom one's open.
there's something weird going on with your computer. If you wanna, we could troubleshoot it after the show sometime.
No, that's
You could
the
just buy a new computer.
Are you? Oh my gosh. This is my Mac Studio. You kidding me? This is my baby. I love.
Or in the PC world, we would say format the drive and reinstall the operating system.
Now, in the Mac world, we say buy a new computer. That's what we don't.
We was joking. Didn't mean that intentionally.
After the show,
Hey,
try
Hasmukh,
turning
I like
Ecamm
your,
off
I like
and
your,
try it.
Hasmukh's got his,
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing, but
Yeah, he's using, again, those are all the iPhone based ones, Lois, that Hasmukh's using.
uh-huh.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm actually.
I like that one.
Am I? There we go. Okay. So I just got out of Ecamm just for. Oh, look at that! Look at that! I can't show you because I'm not in Ecamm. This is fascinating. I shut Ecamm off, and now it's still not green, but when I click on it, I see in Zoom, I see the reactions button. That's fascinating.
Ecamm it is.
Turn it off.
I just
it's
did.
not.
I just did. That's really interesting. All right. So now,
It's not approved, supported, or whatever. Then they don't play ball.
Now you can talk with your fingers
now
all
I can
you
do it.
want, David.
Right. Oh my goodness. So what
I'm
other
glad you said that,
Zoom?
Lois. That phrase came out really nicely. The variations I was thinking of didn't sound as good.
Wait, I just changed that by accident. Change this back. Okay. All right. I'm back in business. So what else? I mean, we could just jump into the release notes, but are there other things that we want to look at? Questions?
So did any of, now I'm back on the Eclipse. Were there any Zoom meetings that people could have been in to follow along as the eclipse was rolling through the country? And how would one have found where those things are? And that's, so I'm back to, gee, Zoom is a great thing. I wonder where I can find out where the Zoom meetings are and how I can get into those.
I thought
So-
Office Hours
so you-
did that.
They did.
Yeah, and NASA don't have a hub. That's a shame. They should have a hub by now.
Who?
Wait, who doesn't have a hub?
NASA should have a hub. There should be a
Oh.
NASA hub where you can go and look at all NASA-related things on Zoom.
But more to the point, is there that anybody knows a place where someone can announce their upcoming Zoom meeting and that the world is invited
Sure.
to?
Yeah.
Where?
Zoom.
Where is
Zoom.
that?
What's it called, guys?
Zoom events?
No. What's the Zoom?
On Zoom's
On
for
Zoom?
profit,
On
though.
Zoom.
But
On
that's
Zoom.
for profit, right?
No, it doesn't have to be.
Well, no, but
Good.
it's generally
Government doesn't get in there, I don't think.
So on
And
Zoom,
it's only US, and they're not.
Oh,
gonna
it is?
extend it. Yeah, it's always only been US.
I didn't realize it's only US. So yeah, so this is on Zoom. This is where you can you can charge or it can be free. It doesn't matter. And you can put whatever meetings you want up here, and people can they sign up for them, they RSVP for them. You can search. There's lots of interesting stuff up here.
Is the test kitchen on there?
search
No.
for birds.
Birds.
Birding with Lois.
No, there's
Oh.
nothing there.
Introducing the new modern tax. That's what came up for birds.
Huh? It said there weren't any.
No. I had to change the filters. Hey, Josh. How are you?
Hello.
And Roland is coming too. Holy moly. This is what came up for birds. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. Well, I will remember that onzoom.com is where I would go and look for that sort of thing.
Or on.zoom.us. But yes, that is sort of-
on.zoom.us. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that is sort of
why is this meeting, which is open to the world, not listed there?
because I don't know.
You like Facebook rather than Zoom?
I don't like either. I don't like on Zoom or Facebook. No, I don't know anyone who actually uses on Zoom. Is I think the honest answer.
Do you have to be the hosting the meeting in order to announce it?
Yes.
So I can't announce the Zoom test kitchen because I don't host the meeting.
Correct.
Can you announce it? Do you host the meeting or is it hosted by Jeff?
No, I host the meeting. So if I,
All right, there's your homework.
oh dear Lord. All right, hold on. Z.
You don't have to do it now.
Well, no, I don't. I mean, I'm not going to do it now. But let's at least get in here and see what this process looks. I haven't done this in 2 years since they came out. Become a
Hello,
host.
Josh. Hello, Roland.
This account is not pre-approved to become an on-Zoom host. You have to apply. Why would I have to upgrade my license? Oh no, I don't have to. Okay. If you're not it says I can't. I'm not quite sure. Oh, I have to go into my admin account and grant on-Zoom host access to this account. Okay. I'm not going to do that right now. But that's okay. How's it going, Josh?
David in chat, I also did a screenshot for you. That's what we see from Canada when it comes to on Zoom.
Well, oh, wait a second. Hold on. So let me pull this up for you. Sorry. I know there's some noise in the background. Sorry about that. Please sign in with Zoom account you will use to host on Zoom events. At this time, on Zoom is only available to customers in the U.S. with paid Zoom accounts and U.S. billing addresses. But then, John, you said it's a legacy service. They're not closing it, but not extending it.
This is a semi-official statement. So this is conversations with Zoom people. This is not official Zoom statement, but on Zoom was designed as a forum for people to sell things, train, etc. through the Zoom platform. And in its way, it's been quite successful, but not successful enough that Zoom wants to roll it out to the whole world and continue with it. So it is almost like a legacy product now. It is there, it exists, it's working within its environment, it works, but there's no plans currently for Zoom to extend it to the world and to push it as a platform much further. But it was a good idea. But I think it's been overtaken by other products. I think you could probably do it better now through Zoom sessions and Zoom events, because you could set up a business with the hub You can put all your meetings in there. You can charge for your tickets. So
Yeah,
there's lots
but
of features there which are much better than they had when they did on Zoom, which was a good idea at the time.
Yes,
Do they
but
have a directory, John, so that
exactly.
people can find
That's-
it? That's the whole point.
That's what on Zoom does that sessions and events doesn't. You're exactly right, Lois. And your question about an amalgamation or a collection of different places that are doing a certain event. This is it, and it's and they're not. It sounds like they're not growing.
Basically, Zoom TV.
Yeah, well, yeah, a Zoom directory, yeah. That's really
Zoom
interesting.
on Zoom had the first glimpses of some of the meeting join characteristics that became Zoom events.
Mhm.
It was the first out of the gate of that type of curated experience that you could charge for. Had a meeting platform.
Yep,
I'm surprised it's still around though.
I am too. Which right again is why I.
If it's not broken, don't trash it. So if it's working for those people that it's got on it, so I can see why Zoom would just, like other legacy things, would just let it keep going while it's not causing problems with other products. But I agree, there are still some nice features on that which would be nice to get into Zoom sessions and Zoom events in the future.
So I think I'm going to ask my question to the world out there. You all out there in the YouTube space, do you know of any directories anybody has about any Zoom meetings? Even if it's just a small group, it's like, and here are all the ones about telescopes or whatever. I'd love to hear about that. So maybe you could drop us a line at the next Zoom Test Kitchen.
The problem with that, it seems to me, is security. Is that unless you have and Lois wants Zoom to take over YouTube, unless you have a way for people to register for the meeting like on Zoom does, I mean, that's just a disaster. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Just listing
It's
your meeting.
responsibility that you might not want.
But anybody
Well-
can have a link that goes to a registration page.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying having a platform where multiple people can list their events and then have their signups is I just think it is probably best done through something like on Zoom or Zoom events.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, certainly. I mean, you or I could create a web page and people could submit their events and we could put a button that links to their registration page. Absolutely.
Well,
Without
let's do it.
registration, you would see a lot of Zoom bombing. So there are bots that scrape calendars and websites for unsecured Zoom meetings.
That's right.
Zoom
But
Shorts.
you could still have a directory that you allow people to list their Zoom events only if it points to a registration.
Well, you know what they say, if something's lacking, it's an opportunity. So you could
I know.
monetize that and make a lot of money.
Well, for example, you can go to Eventbrite and pick, instead of your location, say I want to explore online events. And I guarantee you, not all of these are using Zoom, but I guarantee you many of them are using Zoom. And it's a fairly popular place to go to look for places to go.
Thank you, John, for your comments in the chat. And for those of you on YouTube, John said, we're going to have the Lois Zoom show. I don't think so, but good idea.
David, you're on mute.
So Josh,
Sorry.
did you come in with a question?
Well, so wait a second. Hold on. Before we do that. So,
Right.
Zoom events in the United States. No, but that's the Zoom and Bloom is not. I'm wondering how to filter for. I don't know how to filter for online events.
Last time I was on there, I think it was something
go back to where
online.
you were looking for United States.
Yeah.
where we had that pull down for the United
Yeah.
States. Click the pull down, browse
Oh,
online
browse
events.
online events. Look at that. Okay. Yeah, you know what? You're right. There you go. Look at that.
So Eventbrite is doing what I was suggesting, but only for people who are selling their event through the Eventbrite system.
Or registering their event through Eventbrite.
Yeah, you don't
there are
have
a
to
number
pay.
of free ones on here
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
And this isn't limited to Zoom. It could be Zoom or anything else. In fact, here,
The market
like, let's
leader
just-
is Meetup, but Meetup charges, whereas you can get events into Eventbrite for free. So if you have a free event, like almost all of our Toastmasters clubs who have meetings will advertise them in Eventbrite because it's a free
right. So
platform.
here's just a NASA's Boeing Starliner crew flight test. This is by NASA. You can see it's free. You can reserve a spot. It's online. Does it tell us where? So when presumably you find out where it is when I don't really want to watch this, but
yeah, the
David-
way Eventbrite works is you register through Eventbrite, and Eventbrite will send you a link a couple of days
Right.
beforehand, and that's how you get your link.
yeah.
Yeah, or it can be whatever. In NASA's case, they might do it as YouTube. It can be any platform at
right.
that particular point.
Right.
But again, yeah, what Ray's talking about is not wrong. I've found many of Zoom events on Eventbrites, and a lot of them,
And I've used
government-related,
Eventbrite for a lot of my client meetings. A lot of clients do have their own registration, but some of them don't. And I've used Eventbrite for example, when I was with the parliamentarian group, we had our district meeting and it was all registered through Eventbrite.
So Eventbrite is actually the reason why on Zoom isn't going to make, in some ways, right? Eventbrite is the answer to
They got there
OnZoom.
first.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
Eventbrite has online listings, can you also filter by additional things? In other words, can I say in the online listings, I want to see birds?
Yeah.
There's filters and
Multiple
search.
filters?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah,
Darn, they took the lowest Zoom meeting right out of it.
Yeah, any basically you can put in any keyword, shall we use it, of the meeting, and it should be able to pop up anything that you're looking for.
So I went into online, then I went into kind of the more section, and then you've got all these filters here. Oops, where's my mouse? There it is. Got all these filters over here, but you can also do by date, language. It's searching only for online events, format, free, paid. Yeah. So, and then you can also, let's see if
At the
I
very
search
top too,
now.
David, you can actually
Yep.
do it just via the search.
So let's do birds, online event. Birding 101. Understanding bird language. Birds of the spring and summer. The harmony of bird song. There's a lot of bird stuff, Lois.
100 pounds each.
100 pounds each. There you
It's
go.
going to be a long show.
That's a really big bird, 100-pound bird.
That's 100 pounds. Oh my gosh.
It's a
I look
turkey
for
thing.
Snuffleupagus.
It's a snuffleupagus. It's a big bird.
Do they have a henway?
What's that hen?
Henway?
Not 100 pounds.
About 4 pounds. Yeah.
Need a
You're
rim
welcome.
shot there, David.
I'm working on it.
There we go.
I couldn't find it.
We still need a wah because we do that too much too.
I have that. Yeah, that one I've got. All right, moving on.
Oh, I
Oh
have
dear Lord.
a report. So I was on a Zoom meeting with someone, and she said, Lois, when I start speaking, it cuts out your sound. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. And it turns out that I had not moved my microphone close to me like I usually do. This is its normal position. I had it over to the side, so it was much softer. And apparently, the fact that that was so soft, Zoom was cutting that out, thinking, oh, well, there's a dog barking or someone's talking in the other room or whatever. And so it cut it out. But when it came close, it was fine. So anyway, I just wanted to report that back because I had not realized that that was a function that Zoom was doing.
Yeah, it's a big problem with our competitions when we do our speaker competitions, because the speakers like to stand up. They don't have headsets like me. They have a microphone and they're walking around and talking. And as they turn their head away, Zoom decides that the volume is too low, it's background noise, and suddenly we can't hear them for 5 seconds.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And that's one of the reasons you want to have your original sound on, correct?
exactly. For those types of situations, it's safer to have original sounds. But then you've got the worry of what happens if if there's noise off. So it's a balance.
I have a question about original audio. And
By the way, I'm on a headset. You were talking about my voice being slightly different recently. I switched to headset mode now with Zoom. I don't know if that makes a difference to the quality of my audio on this cheap $15 microphone.
Not really.
So I have a question about audio, and thank you for raising this question or this topic, Lois. So and the question is regarding original audio, but here's my question. Sorry. In my audio profile, I generally keep it on. Original sound, but with original sound off, right? So I enable original sound for musicians, but I don't then toggle it on in the meeting, okay? So my assumption is then that the audio profile that Zoom is using is the Zoom background noise removal that I have set here. Okay. So I guess that's actually question number one. Is that accurate? If I click on it, because you can't click on both, you can't see both. So I usually choose original, not in this meeting, but in my other meetings, I usually choose original sound for musicians, and then, but then I don't always turn it on. Okay, I want to have it available to me. So that's question number one. Is that accurate? Question number two is, my limited experience is that, for example, when I did these different sounds, you can hear them, I assume, pretty clearly, even though I'm not using original sound. And that's because I set this almost always to low, faint background sound. So my second question is there an appreciable difference between keeping this on low and using original sound? So the first
your sound
question
effects
is,
are
sorry.
Your sound effects are loud enough, I think, David, that they wouldn't qualify to hit that low filter.
And they're also
maybe
short enough as well.
When they're
If-
also
Correct.
different frequencies than what voices,
If you've got a long piece of music, you find that you'll get the first few seconds, then it chops it, and then you hear it a bit more, then it chops it. So though your sound is, as Ray said, it's a good volume, but it's also not long enough for Zoom's software to come along and say, oh, that's a background noise, and chop it off.
Could you
No.
try your wah-wah with moving it from low to medium to high and see if it makes any difference?
Well, sure. For one thing, let me put it on auto. And nope, that's the wrong button. Sorry. Sorry about that. So did you hear that at all?
Yeah.
Yes.
You did. So why did you hear that at all? Let me put on actually. Oh wait, that's
Well,
actually
auto just means that if I walk further away, it's going to pump up my sound.
no
then
auto.
I'm
No, but
set.
auto also means it usually really cuts out. Well,
auto
let me-
usually it'll switch itself between
Yeah.
high, medium, and low, and it usually chooses poorly.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let me just run through it. So this is audio. Is the Jeopardy theme song, are we going to get taken down if I play that?
Let's say with the wah-wah.
Okay. All right. So that's on
Heard
auto.
that.
I also, it may be also because I have a little bit of a complicated setup here, but so this is low.
That's fine.
Yep. Now I'll go to medium
Yep.
and I'll go to high. Why is it not playing?
Okay.
For
Yep,
those of
heard
you
that.
joining us, we're doing a scientific experiment here in Zoom Test Kitchen. If this had been an actual emergency, the sound you just heard would have been muted.
All right. So now I
And
have it.
pretty
Now I
soon,
put on
all of
original.
us are going to do that in person right now. Wah, wah.
Right. Now I put on original audio.
Hear it just fine. No
So
difference.
I wonder if part of the problem is.
But remember, like he said,
Try
it sure
half volume.
is-
Oh, turn the volume down?
Yes.
How the heck do I do that? Hold on a second.
I knew that would be the next question. Farther.
I
Down
don't
more.
think I have any farther to go. Oh, wait, that was the wrong thing. Wait.
It didn't sound any
I
audio.
know. I'm working on it. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, there it is. Okay. How do I? This is a lot of pressure, guys.
Now your voice is less clear.
Well, no, that's because I'm stressing out. That's not.
Oh, okay.
Wait, hold on. How do I turn? Oh, here we go. No. This is crazy.
As David does figure that out, Ray, I think
Sorry.
you did find the answer, correct? But we'll let David finish this last.
Well,
answer.
I found the answer to his original question, which basically says if you enable original sound from musician in meeting, all noise suppression is disabled. If you disable original sound from musicians, the client reverts to the noise suppression setting that you chose in client settings, meaning it could be auto, low, medium, or high.
Yeah. All right. So that is the answer to the first question. All right.
Now, how to turn down the volume on your thing? That's
No,
beyond
that I
me.
did. No, that I did.
Okay.
So I just turned it down and did you, any of you hear that? And I had it up on, I had the setting on high. Let me try it again.
I didn't hear it.
All right. Now let me put it on low. Let me see if you can hear it now.
Yeah. Put it on medium. Yeah, we heard it.
Yes, but I get the feeling it's being slightly trimmed. It doesn't sound as
was
clear.
it was compressed.
And let me do auto.
No, it's being really, really chopped off. So
Yeah.
I could hear that you were trying it, but they couldn't have made out what it was.
Okay. So now I want to do two more if that's okay. I'm going to do
As a
low
qualified
again.
musician,
I'm going to do low again, and then I'm going to use original audio. So you could hear that clearly, yes?
yeah, that was pretty
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah. So that's on Zoom background noise removal low. Now I'm enabling original audio.
I
You
would
probably
compare
heard- yeah.
high to original. You're not going to get much difference between the other gradations.
Well, no, my question actually is there an appreciable difference between low and original sound? That was my question, because my experience is that as long as I keep it on low, my stuff usually gets through. Even, if I'm playing a video, for example, not as a screen share, my experience is that the audio actually comes through pretty well, even musical audio.
And clapping,
I'm sorry?
clapping, knocking, that type of noise.
That I don't know. Maybe
It's
that's
probably going to
different.
be dependent on the whatever noise,
Yeah.
its duration, quality.
Right.
One frustration I have is that Zoom has successfully eliminated every form of identifying the microphone I'm tapping into. Scratching, tapping, popping, it's figured them all out. So I have to do this one in order to tell you which microphone I'm on.
Because
So
it clears out that noise. It doesn't even hear
it's
that
like, oh, you're
noise.
trying to pop, scratch your mic? We got it. We got that.
Is this thing on? Yeah, that
Right.
works.
That's funny. When you switch to original sound, you must then turn it on, yes, for it to take effect. That is true. Although there is, by the way, for those of you who may have missed it, I don't know that I'll be able to find this. There is now a way to enable original sound to just be on by default in all of your meetings. This was a change recently. Let me see if I can find it here.
And the main reason for that is you may have an
we
audio
go.
system outside Zoom, which is going to be responsible for getting rid of background noise. So there are reasons why you would want to give control away to the next level of technology.
So this is, let me pull this up for us. Mac OS. Yeah, so there's a, I'm not gonna play the whole thing here, but there's a video that shows you how to, you have to install a separate client, which is, which will allows you, there's a setting in there that will allow you to, but there's a plugin, I should say, that will allow you to just keep it on the whole time. I would not, again, I like to have the oh, I'm showing you the wrong thing. What am I showing you the right thing? I don't even know sorry. I didn't realize I had that on. This is the video that they posted about how to actually get this done. For me personally, in my workflow, I like to have options. So that's why I want to have original sound enabled, but not turned on. If I need it, I want to be able to go up there and turn it on. So, okay. What else?
Release notes.
Release notes.
By the way, for those of you that use Zoom Events, the Zoom Events release notes came out today for an update on Monday.
So
I didn't see anything really huge in that, but they're there to.
Yeah, everything. So I think I've got all of them up here. There, and we got for everything, for the web, for workplace app, which is not workspace. Workspace is different than workplace. Workplace is the new name here, really. So admin features. Required authentication for their user's personal meeting room. Admins can require participants to be authenticated to join their user's personal meeting room, as well as choosing a specific admin-created authentication profile. Okay. Account owners and admins can enable or disable the ability of their users to create and share polls in team chat. In team chat one-to-one, group chat, and channels. Okay. I guess you couldn't do that. That's interesting that you couldn't do that before. You can require answers to be non-anonymous. This seems important for surveys, polls, and quizzes. You can't. A quiz isn't much good if someone submits it anonymously.
No, I would disagree
That
with
must
that.
be in the settings.
I would disagree with that statement. There's great value in both. There's great value in having anonymous polls. There's great value in having non-anonymous polls.
Correct, but if you're giving a test to a class,
That's what I meant.
you want to be able to require everyone. You want the
Of course.
ability to require everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
course.
that's what I was thinking of, quizzes. Yeah.
But there's times where you truly don't want to ask who you know.
Absolutely.
Who has a substance abuse problem, you know? Do you really want to know?
Incidentally, I had a thing, I don't remember if we talked about this before, sorry. And we were debating whether we should do a survey or a poll. The difference being is that a survey is emailed out to folks, as I understand it, after the Zoom closes, whereas a poll, you obviously launch it during the Zoom. And the concern about the survey is that people could just ignore emails. But if you're in a meeting, then people may be more inclined to actually answer the questions. I don't know. Manage surveys library. Account owners and Amazon enable or disable the surveys library menu for specific user groups. Okay. It's about access. Okay. Automated captioning, translated caption support for Hebrew. I didn't see that. That's for me. It's like a Passover present. Automated and translated captioning support is expanding to include captioning for the Hebrew language. This language is available by default. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about that. I take a bunch of classes in Hebrew, so this will be, I can just turn on captioning and then turn on the translation. Then I won't have to learn a damn thing. Okay. Greek, Bengali, Norwegian, and Welsh support for translated
Oh,
captioning.
great. So I'll understand the Welsh at last. Brilliant.
Fantastic. All right. There is now a pronunciation field in profile cards.
What are profile cards?
Profile cards, as I understand it, are, let me close this guy. If you go, bear with me. If you go, I think here, and you click on your, is this where you do it, guys? Not my profile. I don't want to see my profile.
I don't think you have them enabled for this meeting.
Oh, I don't? Well,
But if you go, I don't know if you use, I don't know if you use Team Chat at all. Do you Team Chat with anybody? Do you have anybody in your contact list for Team Chat?
I do, but not on this account. Oh, but wait. Well, no, there's me. I'm in a chat with myself.
I use Team Chat a lot, and if you hover over somebody else's icon, you get a profile card that tells what time of day it is there and whether they're on or offline.
Okay, yeah.
and
So
those sorts of
here's my
things.
profile card. So if I hover over myself in Team Chat, I get it also. So you get the name, you get their home, contact info, send a quick chat message, chat, things like that. So now apparently they're adding, presumably somewhere up here, maybe they're going to add pronunciation, which I will readily admit that I did not fully appreciate until I went to Lois's website, where with all those terms and the pronunciations. No, I'm serious, Lois. It's amazing. It really was amazing the way you did that. I mean, the amount of work that you put into that was fantastic.
And by the way, for those who weren't here last week, I said I didn't want to give that information out publicly because people could just dump things in there. I was wrong. Things don't get into there until I approve them. So by all means, everybody go on in, use the list, add things if you want.
What's the URL again?
Oh, you would
birdingwithlois.com
.global
/something.
define. I'm going to look it up. I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh, I got it. birdingwithlois.global /defining -terms.
Yeah.
It was right there in my history. birdingwithlois.global /defining -terms. Okay.
And Josh just posted it in the chat.
Thank you, Josh. Okay. New option in let me bring this back. New option in sorting of polls and surveys between last modified and created date order. Okay. And then they've got some resolved issues. Just looking to see if there's anything terribly interesting here. There are some important things here. Okay. And then we get to the app, the workplace app. So our Zoom app is no longer called Zoom. It is now called the Zoom Workplace app. And
there's, Dave, there's a small bit of history behind that. There was conversation in the Zoom ranks 6 months or more ago about using the term app versus the term client. And so we computer nerds and Lois understand the term client, but most of our clients don't understand that the app is the client and they're the client and how that works. So I think part of this, calling it the workplace app, is part of that discussion as well.
So there are sort of two changes going on. One is officially moving from client. I'm not sure if that was official at any point, but client to app, really pushing people to use the word app. And the second is the addition of workplace.
Yeah.
And the workplace
client-
thing. Sorry, go ahead.
And client is what you use on Windows when you have something. On Mac, I have never used the word client for any program I've ever run. So I think
That's interesting. I've always referred to every installation of Zoom as a client. I have a ZoomOSC client, a Zoom vanilla client. That's, yeah. But I probably got that from nerds like Ray. So
Windows people.
yeah, or Windows people, right? So I mean, this is including workplace is clearly, it says right here, it's to align the app with Zoom's extensive product offerings. Whoops, sorry about that. I didn't mean to highlight everything. I just meant to highlight this one piece. Let me do it this way. Why is that doing that? That's really annoying. I'm just trying to highlight one little piece of it. All right, I will not highlight.
just double click or triple click.
No, that's not. But I want to, now see, I want to drag. It's interesting that that's not working. I don't know why.
If
that's
you
not
double
working.
click or triple click, you'll then get things with handles that you can drag.
Yeah, but I've got cooler things that I can do. Like I can just go like this and point to it like that.
Then there's also click, shift click
There is.
to get from one place to another place without dragging.
But I just love drawing on my, okay, let's move on. So new Zoom workplace branding in the app, the app name in your app directory, the installer file names, admins with mass deployment should adjust any scripts to account for the new file names. Frank, what does that mean? Do you know?
Which part?
Sorry.
The names of the installers will change.
Mass
because
deployments having to adjust scripts.
So if you do something like MSI installs at your company, the script will update all the names.
Okay. Okay. I have to say I think that the softening of the app, I think it's a really smart move. I think that Zoom, I think the softening is a really good idea. I'm eager to see how it looks.
It really seems like they want to focus on work, and lots of people use Zoom for things other than work, but that's probably where they make the majority of their money.
In the work, in the
from
work
corporations
stuff.
and institutions and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think this, but you know, yes. And I think that within those corporations are made up of a bunch of people. And so changing, for example, the reactions tab from a grayscale kind of smiling face, but not really smiling face with a little plus, to a heart that's kind of tilted a little bit, that has a little bit of life to it. I don't know, that just, what the heck do I know? But I think it's a really smart move. I'm really looking forward to it, and having just a little bit of color, I think is a good thing. Late joining participants are no longer blocked from unmuting or starting video
Until they have agreed to the recording message in an existing meeting that has recording going.
But that's where the way it is now. But that's changing.
They
right,
won't
no
be
longer
blocked.
blocked.
Right.
No
Participants
longer
joining a
blocked.
meeting that has already started recording. That's interesting. I didn't know that we were blocked. But
Yeah,
that makes
we're blocked.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's already started recording, live streaming, or using AI command feature, it will no longer be blocked from unmuting or turning on their video. They will still see the applicable consent prompts and have their yada, yada, yada.
So you used to
muted.
actually try and click on things,
Right.
and you couldn't really, that little block thing was way up at the top and it was black and it was long and you couldn't tell that it was there. And you're clicking on Zoom trying to get it to do stuff and you can't do it. And then you go, oh, look, the thing up there.
Yes.
You're not going to be
That's happened
blocked
to me more than a few
from
times.
interacting. Yes.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, I think, just assumed that Zoom was broken and they left and they
Right.
tried to come back again and they left and they tried to come back again because it
Right.
wasn't obvious that that
It's-
thing at the top was making a difference.
It's funny because for me, I always assumed that it was because what I turn on my video using a Stream Deck button. So this happened to me at least a dozen times. I would restart the Stream Deck app. I would unplug the USB. I always thought the problem was in the Stream Deck, and it was that banner that I wasn't acknowledging. Interesting. Okay, the meeting and calendar tabs are going to be combined in this next one. I also think this is a very smart move. I am currently not at all living in the Zoom client. With this change, I could imagine maybe spending a little more time there. Maybe. I'm going to be interested to see the integration with Google Drive and how that integrates. But this is not necessarily going to be immediate, though. This change will be rolled out to accounts over time and be controlled through a web setting available at the account group and user levels. Initially, Basic, Pro, and some smaller business accounts will have this available with the March release. This was all supposed to come out in March. It got delayed. With this enabled by default for those Basic and Pro accounts, other accounts can expect this in an upcoming release. Why do you think business accounts get the short end of the stick when it comes to the releases like this?
Maybe because they have so many people they're going to have to change.
Maybe because they're slower to roll out changes than
Usually,
Maybe because business accounts and larger accounts are like Frank. They've got a whole lot of things to consider.
Yep.
And if you've got a business account with 12 accounts and it's 3 guys that live over the next town and blah, 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 you'll just roll with it.
yeah.
yeah, that's exactly it. Any large organization is going to want to pilot these and consider them before they enable them. And they have to educate their user base.
So talk to me about the deprecation of the support for these different OSs.
They're old.
Well, they're old. I mean, does anyone still use Windows 7 or 8? I don't know.
Surprisingly more used than you would think, actually. But it means people that looked after their iPads are going to find that their iPads are going to be out of use. I've got an iPad mini, which can't be upgraded anymore, and I'm losing functionality on it hand over fist.
This definitely makes things easier for Zoom. When you have to support legacy stuff, it's a lot more overhead, a lot more cost.
It also holds back features because there's features in new operating systems you can take advantage of, and then you've got to find some sort of compromise for what you give to people with old operating systems who can't do that same thing.
Definitely, and then the developers have to code for way more possibilities than if you limit it to more current technology.
David, could you scroll that a little bit so your face isn't covering up text?
I can, but I'm a little upset because I just saw something in here.
Tell us, David. Go ahead. Tell us.
Yeah. So Zoom desktop app color themes and visual overhaul. You know how much how I said I was. Oh, here we go again. Someone's trying to bomb us. You know how I said I was looking forward to the color change? These colors, Bloom Blue, Agave Green, and Rose Red, are available in running the client in light mode.
Yeah, because you don't want that in dark mode.
Never run my client in light mode. So I'm not going to even.
But if you want to, Dave, you could change colors by going to light mode.
I could go into light mode, change colors, and then turn back to dark mode.
This is
I never
light
keep
mode
it
in Zoom, not light mode on your computer, I think.
No, it's like it's in the app. But if an app on my computer has a dark mode, I put it in immediately.
What are you, Batman?
I am. I am.
If only you knew the power of the light side.
Wait, hold it. So hold on. Am I the only one? Show of hands. How many people have Zoom right now in light mode? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Josh?
Zoom has a black screen that all the little windows are in. What's the difference between that
No, it's
and dark mode?
no. The app,
Running the client,
not the
the
meeting,
app.
not the meeting. The app itself.
Oh, I have everything in light mode so I can see it.
But Josh, you're a production guy. I'm so confused.
I believe at some point I had dark mode, and in some update, I never changed the setting.
So this is light mode right here. Let me bring this up. This is light mode. And then if I go to, and then this is dark mode.
Oh, I remember what it was. I was having an issue with Zoom, and I completely uninstalled it. And I reinstalled it to solve an issue. I don't think it solved my issue.
I could never go back to this.
David, in general, for most people, and I say that advisedly, I think more than half, it is easier to read text, which is a black letter on a white screen, than it is to read white letter on a black screen. And that's because the way your eyes work, the black expands and the white doesn't. And try this out sometime. Go look at zebra stripes, black and white, and they're just stripes, and they're exactly the same size. Look at them, and you'll find that the black ones look bigger than the white ones. And so when you're reading text, it's just easier to read black on white for most people.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I also think that 90% of folks use it in light mode because they don't change it, because that's what it comes in. That's just interesting. Just interesting.
And it comes in that because that's a default.
And as it should be, right. Yeah. I just was looking forward to my colors. Okay. These color themes are applied to the app global navigation bar and meeting window. All right. Additional this is Frank's stuff again. MSI GPO MD. This is when I don't understand something, it's Frank.
Microsoft installer, group policy, and mobile device management.
Thank you. Is there anything in there worth mentioning, Frank?
Depends on your organization.
File transfers could be quite important for a lot of people.
File transfers for specific domains. Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a corporate domain, then you can lock it down to your corporate domain, can't you? So that's jolly useful.
Great.
Back
All
to
right.
the light and dark mode just for a moment. First time I've ever really turned the Zoom app to dark mode, and it changes your chat window and your participant window and those windows as well to dark mode. I never realized that. Kind of cool.
And your beard.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah, it changes. It
I need
doesn't.
that.
Right. It doesn't affect the meeting window, but it does affect all the other pop-out windows. Well, I shouldn't say all. It affects many of certainly the older ones.
Yeah.
It affects absolutely. Okay, let's get to some of the good stuff. Multi-speaker video layout. I think this is going to be so interesting. Multi-speaker video layout helps provide meeting participants a more engaging experience, dynamically adapting to current speakers by highlighting and enlarging their video tiles over others, while still providing a view of other participants in a smaller gallery view below. This will also be available when viewing shared content in side-by-side mode, with the speakers being more prominently displayed next to the shared screen or app window. Okay, someone help me understand this. So
I've seen this, so I can.
Yeah, go for it.
Sort of like some other video conferencing apps. It's mostly aesthetic. Instead of us all being in a grid, perhaps you and let's say myself, if we were having a conversation, would take up the upper half of the meeting window, and it would tile everyone at the bottom. So it's different layouts to give prominence to certain speakers.
And how?
And the other thing
Is-
that I've seen is that it dynamically can change. If you don't have anybody spotlit, it will dynamically change the two speakers so that if someone that's down on the bottom row starts to speak, they'll move up to the top row, and the person on the top that was least recently speaking moves back down into the gallery.
So this is my
This is
question
said-
though. How does
is it-
this work in relationship to spotlighting and traditional gallery view? So are there now 3 views? Is there now traditional gallery, multi-speaker gallery, or multi-speaker view and spotlight?
And is this set by the meeting? In other words, the host is doing it, or is this set by the individual viewer? Like the
I
difference
believe-
between gallery and speaker?
I believe you will see 3 options in the view menu: gallery, speaker, and whatever they're calling this multi-something or other.
Multi-speaker, yeah.
What I don't know is, could you spotlight 3 people and have 3 people move up to the top section and smaller images down below for everyone else? That's a detail that I was not able to.
So Ray, you think that this is going to be on a participant side setting? Like I can't decide that this is what. So essentially, right now,
I believe
As-
so, especially in a meeting, because in a meeting you can't really control what everyone sees. The interesting piece to me will be in a webinar. Can we use this in some way in a webinar? That I don't know.
right? So
And
In
if
the
you use
webinar,
the
you're not
follow,
seeing participants anyway.
yeah, but you can use the follow host option, can't you? So it'll be interesting to see if the follow host option allows you to
Right.
force everybody to join it.
But
Does
follow
follow-
host
well,
is
this
just
isn't but-
gallery order, not
right,
whether you
follow
see
host is
speaker or-
gallery, not this.
Yeah.
Maybe a
There's
You can
there's another
spotlight.
setting. There's another setting in a webinar for attendee view, and in that view you can say follow the host's view or set them to gallery or speaker, and I always set them to speaker so that only spotlit people get shown for them. And my question is, will there be a third option that says I would like to be able to spotlight people up above but still give people the view of people that have their cameras on down below?
It sounds to
Spotlight
me
is different. Spotlight is different.
right. So Lois, I agree with you. Because they're naming this multi-speaker video layout, I don't think this is going to be something that we're going to have any control over. I think this is going to take the same technology that right now is automatically. Well, I'm not Spotlight. That is automatically switching who is on screen, if you will. I think it's going to be the same thing, and so for production, this won't necessarily help much, because I can just say, as someone who produces Zoom meetings, I want to have a little more control over what I put out. But if you don't have production, this seems like another way to enrich the.
This sounds like an automatic pinning. For right now, I on my screen, what I'm viewing, I can pin multiple people. And it sounds like this has automated it so that it's doing pinning for me based upon who's talking. Doesn't that sound right?
It's not pinning. It's doing the auto
Active speaker,
but
it's
doing
more
the
than one
active
person
speaker
at a
switch.
time.
It's just doing it on more than one person. Exactly. Yeah. Pinning means that one thing stays on your screen and never changes. This is active speaker, and it's
I can pin multiple people, but here I don't have to pin. I just choose this, and it puts those people up there as they're speaking.
But importantly, But importantly, it's dynamic, and I think that's the key here. And now it'll be really curious to see how good it is at doing this. Are people jumping up and down every time someone makes a noise? Are they jumping up and down off of the stage, as it were, or does it listen for a bit? And is there a way to, for example, identify, I want this person to always be on the top,
Mhm.
And then I want this spot to be dynamically changing. You know, could I spotlight one person up there? I don't know. It's going to be a really, really interesting.
Lots of testing going on early in the week.
Yeah.
And as far as what David was saying about the host is not in control, see what it says there as to who's going to be affected by this. It does not say iOS. So the iPhones,
Only
the
Windows and Mac.
tablets, they're not even going to be in on this. So I don't think it's anything that the host will be able to control, because you've got different variations depending upon the viewer.
That's a good point. I wonder if this will be the new default view for people.
I think it will be on the desktop client.
The default view, yeah. And by the way, this will also not be in, at least I don't think, won't be in recordings or live streams either.
No, all of that's composed separately on the back end by
Yeah.
that Zoom thing that reads all your files. The other thing I just noticed is that this does say meeting participants, so I don't think it's going to be applicable to webinars.
Mhm.
Very, very interesting. We already mentioned the new icons we're getting.
New icons, yay.
Yay, new icons. This is big. I think it's big, at least. Personalizing the in-meeting toolbar. Now, what we've talked about this. What I'd really like to do is for me or the host to be able to control what's on the toolbar for everyone in my meeting, so that I can say, everyone, please look at the third icon from the left and the bottom. But I don't think that's what's coming. So buttons can be reordered, dragged to or from the More menu. Personalizations for signed-in users will be synced across their desktop experiences. The default in-meeting toolbar has fewer buttons and consolidated many options under the More menu to support improved ease of use. Audio, video, More, and End buttons cannot be removed. So they are changing it's no longer a mute and stop video or unmute and start video. It's now audio, video. I'm going to be interested to see how that plays.
I'm looking at it right now.
They'll be in the same place, and people who are accustomed to clicking them and not clicking them, I think anyone that's confused is probably looking too closely.
Yeah.
Most people will catch right on, I think.
I mean, what they're essentially saying is pay attention to the icon, not to the word.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Or they're using the word to refer to both the mute button and the little caret next to it that gets you into audio settings, and calling that
the
whole
audio
thing
button is a toggle
Right.
button.
Right.
But it doesn't.
Right.
I'll be surprised if they change this from mute, unmute to audio
They are.
as a label.
They are.
They are. We've already seen it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the change. And again, it's just
Yeah.
it's an interesting decision.
The audio and video buttons will be toggle buttons that will toggle your audio and video on and off.
Right. I do think that, Lois, what you just said about sort of the little caret next to it using the word audio underneath, and I wonder if I don't know, Frank, if you're allowed to even tell us, but I wonder if that little caret is going to be closer to the microphone, and if there's some way for that audio. Someone has an open mic, by the way. I don't. And if that audio title, because right now it's the microphone with mute under it, and then there's just kind of this little caret hanging out there to the right of it. I wonder if that's a more unified thing. Frank, are you allowed to say anything or no?
It looks mostly the same.
looks mostly the same. Okay.
The audio and video buttons, except for the labels.
Okay. Okay. How do you all feel about them moving a whole bunch of stuff into the More menu?
I think it's
Well, the
good.
fact that
I
you
would
can
hope
move
it would
it.
be consistent.
Wait a second, Lois, you said say it again?
I said, I think it's good because I think it might be more consistent. Right now, depending upon the size of your screen or whether your window is taking the whole screen or just a little bit of the screen, the things move around. So hopefully the ones that are there permanently will be in the same order, and then more will have the rest of it instead of things jumping.
Right. And again, by the way, it probably is also important to mention, as you did up above for the multi-speaker layout, this is not on the apps, sorry, the phone apps. This is on just desktop. Google Drive, Microsoft One files. Sharing files from Drive and OneDrive is updated to make it easier to select files and turn them for in-meeting viewer or collaboration. The third-party service's native file picker will be used to select a file instead of the Zoom file picker. And after selecting a file, choosing Collaborate, which will grant participants file editing permissions. Invites all participants to join collaborating on the document using their system browsers. Very nice. A little surprised that that's here before they've said anything about, before they've said anything about Zoom Docs. Is that not, I don't know that that's even in this release.
I've seen a reference to it, but I haven't seen
No,
it's
it's
coming
not
out yet.
Yeah, no, it's not in this release.
I'm waiting to see how this works. So for
You
the
mean
calendar,
the Zoom Doc stuff?
no, the Microsoft OneDrive and Google.
Oh, yes.
So my experience with the calendar integration with Office 365 was that our organization's Office 365 administrator had to make an approval on the back end as well. So you could enable it in your admin settings in Zoom, but the person who controls Office 365 also has to agree to it. For people who don't have organizations, I'm sure you can just approve it yourself, but when you've got a tenant, an Office 365 tenant, I think your IT department's going to have to approve this too.
Is that something that they can do proactively?
They could, but a lot of big organizations are going to want to evaluate this before they say yes. They're going to want to do a privacy and security assessment, but
right. Yeah,
David?
go ahead, Lois. Yeah.
When you were looking for something else, you started scrolling down. That's so long. It's almost 2:00 now. How long is this meeting going to go?
Yeah,
Are we going to be able to split this up and do some next week?
well, next week we're going to have all these goodies to play with, so
Well, yeah.
don't worry about it. No, we're not
Okay.
gonna read the whole thing. At some point I gotta go home. Let's do a little bit more. So improved voice print. So I have never used the personal, well, God, there we go again, sorry. I have never used the personalized audio isolation. This is, let me pull it up for people to see. This is a new audio profile that is available to folks. If I bring this up like this, you've got Zoom background noise removal. You've got personalized audio isolation, and then original sound is onto that. So personalized audio isolation recommended for headsets with microphone. And it says here, software on your device will capture and analyze a clip of your audio from meetings you join to differentiate your voice from and suppress background noise in meetings. Zoom does not receive or retain yada, yada, yada.
No, that yada yada is important though. A lot of people would object to Zoom keeping a voice print of them.
You're right. Sorry. It's yada yada for me because I don't really care about that. But Zoom does not receive or retain this clip or analysis, which stays on your device and is only used for noise suppression in meetings you join. Thank you for that. You're absolutely right. So has anyone here used this? I have not. Has anyone used this yet? No.
Can someone clarify a little bit about what this is? Because if I record a meeting, I can get separate audio recordings from each input. And
that's not what this is. What this does is you read some text, it analyzes your voice before the meeting starts, it compares your voice during the meeting to other sounds it's hearing, and it filters out the sounds that make your audio sound worse. So it's AI doing noise suppression for your environment.
So on my microphone in my house,
That's right.
it's going to do that work, and then we'll submit to Zoom
No,
cleaned up version.
it'll stay local to your computer. It won't ever go to Zoom, but it'll allow the Zoom application on your computer to say, this is Lois's voice, this is not Lois's voice. Let's enhance Lois's voice. Let's not have the noise in the background.
But does enhancing Lois's voice, that's a great thing to do. But wouldn't in the meeting, wouldn't you all hear the enhanced version of my voice rather
Of
than
course,
the
yeah.
background?
After it does the analysis, but it does it before the meeting starts. You do a voice print of yourself.
But David, or Frank, it also does the filtering live on your computer,
Right.
and filters what it receives from your microphone, and then sends out the enhanced version
That's
over
right.
Zoom.
Good. Well, that sounds exciting.
Can
I don't have
someone
any dogs, so I don't have to worry about it.
can someone explain companion mode? Because that's the next
Companion
thing up here.
mode is when you have a hybrid event and they put the QR code up for the people on premises.
Oh, that's
It
what it
opens
is.
the
Okay.
Zoom app without audio and without video.
Gotcha. So connecting a device in companion mode allows, I'm on the wrong thing, sorry, allows for easier video chat and sharing across multiple devices in any meeting. Now, this sounds like something different. Connecting
You
companion
can
mode
also
from the Zoom app to view and oh no, you're right. Sorry.
it does a couple of things. One of the things you can transfer, you can hand off from your phone to your computer.
Oh, that's companion mode also.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Oh, and that, interestingly, that's rolling out over the next few months. So that's not coming right away.
Hi, so just to remind you, I'm coming back. Can you request my Zoom? I'm coming back right now. I just need to reset my iPad quickly.
Is that the guy from last week?
Yeah.
Bounce.
I got him.
Portrait lighting for video.
So if you have low level lighting in your
Yeah.
room in general, it will take your face and brighten it up.
But it may constrain your video to 720p.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you may
Really?
drop out of 1080 if you do this.
Well, if you're one of 45 people in a gallery, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but if you're one of 3 people and you want 1080p.
If you're one of 3 people on the screen, you're not getting 1080p of your video. So
You know what I'm saying, though, right? Like it
Yeah,
has
yeah.
it has that.
if you're the big cheese and you're the guy filling the screen, it won't be 1080.
Get some proper lights if you want to look good.
Yeah.
So is that going to be equivalent to what they're doing when they say blur your background, as in it's doing the analysis, it's taking your cutout, and it's doing something different with the background? Is that what I'm hearing it being said as?
Yeah, and I think in this case, it will do something with the foreground. It will lighten up the foreground so that you look more lit.
So
It's gonna make your background darker.
It still means that it is doing a cutout. There's 2 parts, the background and the foreground, and it's having to do all of those manipulations all the time, which means it's going to be more difficult. It's going to take more work for your computer.
Definitely.
Now, is this something an individual chooses, or is this something that the meeting chooses, or the host?
No. This is like soften my skin. This is
Like
like
a
virtual
filter.
background. Yeah, it's a filter.
If you turn it on, you'll be using it. If you don't turn it on, you won't be using it. Assuming your computer meets the requirements to do it.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's still, I think, going to be a diminishment of people's ability to get in when you have a poor connection.
Well, I don't think this will have any impact on connection.
Okay, so there's sometimes, okay, personal experience. There's some meetings that I've been in, and there's one person who's always has problems with being on Zoom and making funny noises and freezing and all that stuff. And if we can get her to turn off that backgrounding stuff, turn off that virtual background or the blur, then she's much more stable in the meeting. Now, I don't know technically why that is, but
I do.
that's from experience.
Frank
It-
knows.
It's because she probably just barely meets the minimum requirement to turn that feature on. If her computer was just a little more crappy, it wouldn't even give her the option to use it. But she's just on the borderline, so her CPU is struggling. It's probably using all her RAM, which is impacting other things happening on her computer. So she should just go without it.
There you go. Do you all want to keep? Hey, can we actually pause from this conversation for just a moment? Because I'm watching I'm watching poor Mike going back and forth with this gentleman who's trying to come in to our meeting. Can we just spend a moment on security and on the human side of security? I mean, at what point what is the point at which, like, how do you know? If you're not doing registration, obviously, you're in a meeting like this one, right? This
How do you
gentleman
know
is,
what?
I don't know, like to let someone in, you know.
You shouldn't let somebody in unless you've got some method of filtering them.
Right, but what I'm asking is I'm asking about the filtering method, because
Meet them, have them join Discord. Let us meet you first.
okay,
Hold-
all right,
Hold the meeting in a breakout room, so they join the main
Something like
stage
that, yeah.
area.
Right,
You speak
right.
to them, you talk to them, you vet them, and then you
right.
put
The
them in the
problem is you
breakout room
can't
where the
stream
meeting
from a
is.
breakout room.
Has this person done something that is disruptive?
Well, we've heard their audio, and they're not speaking to us. It's almost like background audio. There's been nothing offensive that I know of.
So can't we turn on automatically mute as you come in and you can't unmute yourself, just the host can do it? That seems like the logical solution.
Yes, but then that affects everyone, and
Yeah.
it's just I don't know, Mike. Do you want to chime in at all? I'm just I like, you've been going back and forth and back and forth.
Sure.
I'm just thinking not about this particular person, but in general. I'm thinking about, you know, how do we make decisions like this, and do we err on the? For me, sorry, I'll say one last thing, Mike. I always, to my detriment, err on the side of, oh, let's be trusting. Always. Where do you fall out?
I'm in the same boat as you, David. I'm a very, I'm more on I trust people before I ban
Yeah.
them, per se.
Yeah.
The one specific person that is currently in the waiting room was behaving himself to the point until he had to, I believe, from what he has told me, is he was having computer issues. So that's why he decided to do it via audio instead of chat. Yes, he's come to visit us again, and I will deal with him momentarily. But there have been a couple of others that have also, within the last few minutes too, that have quote unquote bombed us as well. So I've been dealing with that. So yes, I didn't even, through the whole point of you doing the release notes, I wasn't paying attention at all because I was.
Yeah, no, of
dealing with
course.
bombers.
And, you know, and part of what sorry, Lois, just, I want to say one thing. Part of the challenge here is that when you've got an international audience or international participants, there are language barriers that sometimes people will say things that to my ears sounds, this guy isn't for real, but it's not that. It's a language barrier. Sorry, Lois, go ahead.
So my method of dealing with things is trust until they prove they're not trustworthy, and then never trust them again. And so by that, I would say, if there is a problem, like Mike's got somebody in the waiting room, send a message and say, when you come in, you must remain muted. If you turn on your microphone, we will kick you out of the meeting and you won't be able to come back. Or something. I mean, whatever it
That's
is
interesting.
that the
You're right.
problem is.
You're right. Be clear about the ground rules. You're right. I mean, again, Mike has been going back and forth, having conversations, trying to understand whether this gentleman is
Yeah.
is really wanting to be here or not. But you're
Yeah,
right. Maybe that's what we should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I for Lois's sake, because again, she hasn't seen what I'm doing. Yes, I've been speaking to him within chat using the meeting room participants functionality of chat, and I've been using that constantly over the last, I guess, 10 to 15 minutes with all the people that have been bombing us, and of course, getting all kinds of different answers from all kinds of different people because I've been quizzing them, and I've been asking them questions and such, and some of them have been failing. And one of them, of course, the one that Dave did catch David's attention, I automatically banned. So I will be filling out full reports on that one. So, I'm willing to give this person potentially another look, David, because he was behaving himself until he did pull that. So I'll let you know.
And
Yeah,
this one, if this is the same person, the Adam, Solomon, that was what it was. If they requested the captions so they could get a language clarification, or they could get it in writing instead of in hearing it. And so that leads me to wonder if we don't have a language situation, and if we can find out what language they speak or something like that.
That's interesting. That could be it. The persistence of this particular gentleman is what concerns me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Zoom Test Kitchen, but I don't think I would try and get in over 30 times in a single day. So in any case, I was just curious about. He's saying he'll come in. He'll be quiet. We can give it a shot. Why not?
All right, David, your call.
No, it's not. I don't want it to be my call.
All right,
I was gonna pass host to you. Wait, let me pass host to you before you do this. Then it'll be your fault.
We could just call and end
More on my
the
shoulders.
meeting
Why not?
and do it next week.
All right, I'm passing host. All right, you're host now. Now it's totally out of my hands. Let me in, he's saying. Oh my goodness.
So it's actually good to know, David, that you actually, as host, are actually seeing my conversations with all the waiting room people.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think anybody else.
I believe co-hosts can. Co-hosts and hosts.
Co-hosts
can see
and hosts can. Yeah, but again, I'm not disturbing everybody else.
I find it suspicious that we would get such a large influx of people all at the same time when we hardly ever get any new people.
Well, there are only, 2 or 3, I think?
Well, that's a lot for us.
Yeah, and this gentleman is a returning guest, so. Okay.
And now we have no co-host, right?
I'm not a co-host anymore, that's right.
TTG is, David.
GGG? Oh, TTG. Yeah, sorry, that's my OSC account. But I'll just put up one other thing for next week. Maybe I'll turn it on before the meeting, but if I have access to it, we will have meeting wallpapers next week. So,
Yay!
That's about.
Not everything will be black.
Not everything will be black.
But only in light mode.
Oh God! Wait, hold on. Meeting? No, there is no white light mode on the meeting. Can customize the wallpaper in the meeting, adding more color and customization to their meeting view. The host or co-host can choose from preset images provided by Zoom or their account admins. With the selection made, they can also adjust how much to blend the participant videos with the wallpaper image. We saw that last week. It was very interesting. Admins can control use of this at the account level. Then it tells you it has to be a JPEG or a PNG, maximum size. And the recommended resolution is 1080p. So this is just for clarity's sake, and Frank, maybe you know this. This is, and this, by the way, is across everything, computer and iOS and Android. But I, as the host, choose a wallpaper, and then everyone sees that. This is not user defined. This is host defined.
That's right. The host defines it, which makes sense. I mean, let's say you want to theme your meeting with your business colors or something else, you'll be able to do that, right? And what makes sense for your meeting may not make sense for other people's meetings.
Yep.
And it's something we've been using in webinars and sessions and everything for ages.
So do you set it up, like, I'm wondering, if I if like you said, if I have brand colors or something and I want can I set it up such that every time I open a meeting, it will use that wallpaper?
I've never used it, but I imagine it'll persist if you. I don't know if it's per meeting or if you'll use it the same one in every meeting unless you change it. I don't know yet.
I have to start making wallpapers. I didn't even think about that.
David, didn't we talk about this with Robert last week?
Yeah, we did.
Well, yeah, because I was actually mentioning that I think wallpapers are there now, correct?
No, but they're not. You can't do anything with them.
Oh, okay.
They're on the back end, I believe. We saw them on the back end, but you can't actually do anything with them.
Oh, until version 6.
Right.
Right.
Right. Okay. So
Wallpaper.
yeah,
Okay,
again, with Robert, what we're actually saying is it would be nice if we could actually do it per meeting as compared to it being a global setting per account.
Well, you can do it per meeting. You can always change it per meeting.
I think it'll be per user. So imagine you've got 1,000 users. Each user can have their own.
Right.
But I don't know that it'll be per meeting unless you go and change it before each meeting.
No, you'll have to change it. Agreed. But what I actually want is I want from my user.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess we'll find out next week, huh?
We will.
Probably Monday.
No,
I
we
meant-
won't be here Monday. We'll be here Monday.
but I'll find out Monday because I'll be using it by Monday. But
We.
the collective we.
Yes.
Okay. This guy, this poor guy.
I don't know, David.
He's bombing us. I mean, he's just the
Send him to
persistence
Discord.
alone.
Then he'll start bombing us in Discord.
Yeah. No. Why? Yeah. Why? What? That God, doesn't he have anything better to do? I'm sorry.
He's not here. He's
He
not in the
picked
meeting.
the worst group in the world to pick on. Like, we're all sophisticated Zoom users. Like, good luck bombing us, buddy. Go find someone easier to bomb.
Oh my goodness.
David, your co-host, I'll leave that up to you now. Okay.
No. I'm passing it to you. I'm going on bio break. Good luck with this.
Yeah, if you required registration, you could ban him permanently.
That's true. That's true.
I know.
I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here, guys. So
Well, have a nice weekend.
bye. See you next week.
Bye, Lois. So yes, he's being still persistent, boys and girls. And
Yeah.
I will, Adam,
Let
if
him
you're
in.
watching us on Zoom, please, as we've told you, please join our Discord. And the information is in our Zoom Test Kitchen info on YouTube. So please join us in Discord. We'll be able to talk to you a lot more on there. And you could actually ask us a few questions on there, and we'd be more than happy to, if there's more in-depth information that we need from you, to have you join. And again, of course, as long as you were able to half decently speak in English, of course, because majority of us are English. So that would be great, and we would love you to join. But until then, I'm going to ignore you for now. I won't ban you at this point.
His actions are very similar to Zoom bombing, so if he's not intending it, he should come clarify.
Yeah. And he is being apologetic that he shouldn't have done that. But again, this is a quick lesson to
That's
understand.
exactly what a Zoom bomber would say. I'm really sorry, let me in.
Yeah, exactly. And there he came again. Yeah. So I will again ignore him. But I just wanted to let everybody know that Blackmagic did have a lot of different releases of gear today. So we can go over that quickly as well. If you'd like, I could actually give you a quick little picture from at the end of all the different products that were actually shown. So you'll enjoy this. So here it is here. So that everything on the table there was relaunched today. Wow. That be cameras, that be switchers, that be DaVinci Resolve units to
What would you say was the big news? What was the biggest thing that most people were crazy about?
What was the biggest thing that again,
full
for
frame
them,
camera sensor, like what they do?
Yeah, so in the shot there, Frank, what you'll see is I'll actually pull up the Let me just see if I can actually pull it up here. So there's some of the different cameras here. I did a bunch of screenshots as they were doing the actual event. So I'll start with the first one. Sorry. There's one of them. And again, they are blue skying this one. They said, usually we do cheaper equipment, but they decided that they wanted to. So this basically, again, from your world, Frank, back in the day, this would be an equivalent to almost getting into like the airy type models where they're going after the cinematographers and the high-end videographers. And so it's basically all the different flavors of how it actually will connect. And again, there's add-ons and such. So the actual viewfinder, you don't have to have the viewfinder. That's an add-on as an example. So it's really interesting. Yeah. And again, there's all kinds of different, as you can see, that's the actual attachment so that you have your eyepiece. That's the actual, them showing off their 12K. So this is actually a full 12K camera. And that's what it looks like on the table as far as size-wise is concerned. So it's quite a cinematographer looking camera, and that's Blackmagic making their own sensors. So that was kind of cool and exciting. And they're also launching, sorry guys, I'm just going to scroll through here quickly. So this was the other interesting thing, is that this is the M.2 dock that they have. And then in this camera here, you can actually see in the middle there, you can actually see the M.2 logos. So that whole unit pops out as if it was a hot swappable hard drive. And those are all multiple M.2 drives that are in there in that unit. And that unit will pop out and go into this unit here as a dock. And then you could actually hook it up in the back. It's got a quad 10 gig Ethernet to the network. And that's the actual interface of each slot and what space has been used and such in the Blackmagic Media Dock. And yes, that is, for John's sake, that is US pricing. So UK pricing, I think, would be pretty close. But they also are coming out with a 17K camera, which is this guy. So it's a similar form factor. It's staying in the Ursa Cine line, and it's going to be their 17K camera. So that one was probably the biggest news. And that one's going to be later on in the year. And then they also have this new box camera that is a 6K box camera. And again, it has this similar capabilities of the Ursa, where you could actually add all the different attachments to it. And that'll be coming out in 3 different models, depending on the lens that you would like to use to attach it to the actual box camera itself. And this is a new DaVinci Resolve for color correction and such little panel. And unfortunately, I don't know how it actually connects, but my assumption is there must be some Wi-Fi capabilities built into it. Because there was no cabling coming from it, and he had no problem during the demo, the PC that he was using. Yeah, Roland, I'll be showing that momentarily. Roland's talking about the mini panel. Yes, the mini panel actually for this group, I think, would probably be something to definitely, oh, thanks, Roland. Was Bluetooth? Okay, it quite possibly could be Bluetooth as well. I did not look, to be honest, because it came close to before starting the Zoom Test Kitchen, so I did not have a chance to actually look at the physical specs. But I will go back to what Roland actually brought up, which was earlier in the actual event. Sorry, guys. Again, I'm just scrolling back. Yeah. So again, what they're doing, they came out with this broadcast replay capabilities within DaVinci Resolve. So again, for the sports market and such, this will allow you to actually do instant replays in DaVinci Resolve and play them out in DaVinci Resolve. So they actually built in a replay based functionality, and this is their actual unit interface that will work in conjunction with DaVinci Resolve to actually allow you to sync up all up to 8 cameras and sync up into replay and get it ready for an instant replay. So again, obviously they're going after the sports market for this big time. Would definitely be, yeah. So there's him posing beside some of his couple of racks of, so that's all the brand new gear there. Majority of the brand new gear is actually in the right rack there. And so that's a brand new 12G SDI monitor, new audio meters. That's a Constellation, I think. It's the same Constellation that they're using. I think that's probably the Constellation 8K they got in there. Then they have their IP converter. It's a new IP converter. So they're getting big time into IP 2110 for anybody into the different technologies of that. That's definitely something that they're doing. And they actually came up with their own Ethernet switch. And it's a switchable Ethernet switch, meaning that you can actually plug in the different 10 gigs. And again, it's all IP 2110 ready. So it'll actually do the switch on the fly. And it's basically a matrix switcher for IP 2110 using Ethernet. And there's the audio monitor I was talking about, which is basically an upgraded 12G G3 of that. There's the Smart View monitor, now 4K. And this is their new, again, Blackmagic is getting big into the 2110s. So this is all the new 2110 IP converter models that they're coming up with. So IP to HDMI, IP to 12G, IP to HDMI SFP, and again, yeah, so mini IP to HDMI SFP, and then the mini bidirectional 12G with SFP connectors as well. Again, keeping a lot of that's the IP converter unit. Again, automatically taking 12Gs in and coming out 10 gig Ethernets, and those are all SFP ports. And this one is their smaller one, but these are copper 10 gig ports, and it's only a 4-port versus 8-port. They're also coming up with a presentation converter, and that's the US pricing on that. And that's the back of the actual converter. So it's going to have a 12G SDI out, multiple HDMI outs, a PC in, and you'll actually have your analog in and outs. So again, it has a lot of flexibility for those they're going after the corporate market with this presentation converter, because it allows you to plug basically anything in theory, and get it ready to be IP 2110. And again, yeah, so this unit was kind of interesting to me because this one actually gives you talkback capabilities within the box if the camera has it or not. So the actual unit itself has built-in talkback, as well as it will do the 12G from IP to IP 2110 to 12G SDI. And that's that's one of the examples of them using the 2110 to HDMI, that you could actually hook it up instead of going SDI to HDMI in the back of a monitor. Now you could actually go 2110 IP to HDMI. And yes, Blackmagic actually came up with their own brand new IP10 codec, which he sort of quickly went through and did not mention anything specific with that. But basically, they're using it to actually do, as you can see here, taking the raw 12G SDI and actually converting it down into IP 2110. And this is the panel that Roland was talking about. So here's a close-up look of it. Oh, sorry, right there. And that, so basically the ATEM micro panel, again, this is geared towards, which I don't know if it'll actually, if you did try to hook it up to an ATEM mini line, this is actually more going after the Constellation, ATEM Constellation models, so that you could actually control 10 channels. And if you need more than 10, then you hold the shift key down and you can go up to 20. It'll take up 11 through 20. And it's got a lot of the familiar buttons. And again, it's very broadcast. It's got as I would say, the broadcast buttons.
So it's just a remote for the Constellation?
It basically, yes, because again, the Constellation models are all rack mountable. So
Right.
it gives you a panel now so that you can actually get a lot more user friendly instead of actually being at the rack and actually pushing the buttons. Or they know a lot of people right now are doing the Stream Deck and Companion to get it done. So that's them trying to compete a bit against that. But basically it's the similar functionality. Roland, I don't know, did they mention about this one as well? Because this one, I didn't see any cables. Did they say this one had Bluetooth as well? Let me know in chat.
Yes, I did.
Oh, thank you, John. Yeah, so again, that's the expected US pricing. And again, this would be if you've gone to the next level beyond the ATEM Mini Extremes into the Constellation models, then and you've been looking for some sort of panel to be able to control that, that definitely.
What's $700 if you own a Constellation? Really, like?
Yeah,
it's a rounding error.
Yeah, but if you've got the lower spec one and then you have to spend even more to get a control unit for it, that's the argument he gave.
right. Yeah, and again, it's up to your workflow, and of course, a lot of people have been using the BitFocus Companion in conjunction with the Stream Deck to do a lot of this functionality already. So again, it's if you need something, it's now there.
And it allows multiple.
I would say. Go ahead, Johnny.
You've got access to multiple units, so you can have, I think it was 4, controlled by that one unit.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Again, you dug in a little deeply, John, into that after the meeting. Yeah. Yeah, because again, so yes, so they did actually, now they're adding the 4K models, because right now there's been only some that are only HD. So they actually added those 2 models there, which are the 2ME, but now it's 4K because they've only had the HD model. So that'll do up to 20 channels. So again, with this the panel, again, that's how you get up to your 20. And also that, so yes, that'll be the US market and in stock now. So that's available now. And they also they decided to actually do a 4K 1ME as well, which is the 10 channel. And that one's going to be priced at just under 1,800 US. Let me just see if there. Yeah, and then they did come out with a brand new big, and I mean big, and this is getting into the competing against, if you're familiar with the company AJA, they're well known for their video hubs. So this is Blackmagic version of 100, yes, that's 120 by 120 12G SDI connectors in the back of that.
You can run out of 120 pretty fast, though.
That's true. That's true. That is very true. As you start getting up there in your connections, again, considering the big Constellation, John, is what, 48? I'm trying to remember. How many ports are 40? What's the big Constellation? So even if you did fill up the Constellation, you could actually route everything into this unit here, where you're plugged everybody into the back of that, and then you just route whatever you need to the biggest 8K Constellation. But Frank is right. Yeah, it doesn't take much, especially depending on the type of scenario, especially them showing basketball example, that perfect example. It doesn't take much to get up to 120, especially with sports, with all the different angles and all the different cameras. So I just thought I'd throw a little bit out there for everybody. I know it was quite interesting for me to see that. So I just wanted to spread
Oh,
that
that's
out.
cool. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't have time to watch that. I'll have to check into that this weekend.
Yeah, again, that was just a quick little snippet of what is out there, or what is coming out there. It did officially get launched today, but of course, NAB is starting this weekend, if not Monday. So again, that would be very coincidental to what our friends at Zoom are doing, of course, launching their client on over the weekend, aka probably for sure by Monday. And I am going to actually check to see if the update has come out. Yeah, right now I'm still on my PC, which is telling me I'm on the latest. And I'm still at 5.17.11.
Were there any new hyperdecks or anything?
Any new hyperdecks? Okay, good question. Let me just double check that. Something's telling me that oh yes, there actually was. Actually, I think they went from an SSD model to a M. Well, that sort of that M.2 model that I showed, Frank, I think is where they're going with it. So I think they're going away from the SSD hyperdecks. Okay, yeah. So there is this one. So there's the big boy that they are now introducing hyperdeck wise. That's an 8K hyperdeck.
Sure.
And that's an HDR hyperdeck. I don't think there was any others, and it might have been referencing that they're referencing that to being. And John, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were, if you were watching this, was that them just updating the firmware on that? Or
Well, this H.264, it's not H.264, it's just this IP for 4K. They've got their own compression technology, which means you don't need a 20 gigabyte connection to run it. And they're updating almost all their equipment, even the G2 cameras and those, they will have a software update soon, which will allow them to communicate through that as well. So you will be able to run that IP-based video through a powered, well, it has to be a 6 cable. If it's an optical cable, you can't send the power, but if you've got a normal wired cable, you can send the power to the camera. So you're back to the old adage of having one plug into the camera, and you've got the video in both directions, you've got the talkback in both directions, you've got the control all from one network cable, and now you're sending this amazing 4K display as well.
right. And actually, Roland, that's right. I didn't talk about this, so I'll actually show this as well for everybody. So this is the Blackmagic Media Player 10G.
Any price on that?
On which one? The
what you're
player?
showing right now, yeah.
Yep. One sec. So yeah, so there's the front of it, there's the back of it. And I think there you go. That is what's expected in US. Yep. And basically this is again, so this is going to take, as you can see, the connectors in the back there. So you've got your fill and your key. So this actually could do that as well. And you got your desktop out and monitor out. Oh, and Frank's zooming in on me here. Let me zoom in on for you, Frank. There you go. So there you go. So there's your analog outs, your monitor outs, and again, everything's going in through the 10G, right? And then you got your analog on there. But the interesting thing was he was also promoting, so the bottom USB is Thunderbolt, and the one above that is just regular USB 3.1, I believe, or 3.2. And you have your different Again, you can bring in a 12 GSDI in, as well as your fill and key, and do your desktop out, monitor out, either in 12G SDI out, or you can actually do in 4K or the HDMIs. Yes, and that's going to retail in the States for $9.95 and only in July, so not available now. So coming soon. So Black Magic dealer near you.
So for me, the IP2120 was good because you're showing that you can run everything through the network, and
Yeah.
the MEs have all gone 4K.
Yeah.
And there's a smaller gap now between them and the A10 minis, which a lot of people would have been using for their smaller productions.
Right. And no conversation other than they are going to be upgrading the firmware of the A10 Extreme ISOs. Notice I said ISOs. So that you have the capability in DaVinci Resolve to do replay. So if you do have an A10 Mini Extreme ISO, you will be able to functionally be able to use that with DaVinci Resolve Replay Studio, I think they're calling it. I'm trying to remember all the funky names here. So let me just go to that quickly. That's the cloud.
Yes, because before this announcement, quite a lot of people would use that instead of paying $3,000 for an ME when they didn't need the extra functionality. So that was quite commonly purchased for studios of a medium size who want to record all the data and keep it all somewhere. They would use one of those. So it's very, very clever of them to take notice of that and give the support for it.
Yeah. So this is the actual, there's actual software that complements this. So this is the DaVinci Resolve Replay Editor unit. So this would be how quickly to get the replay ready and such. And then as you can see on there, you can go up to 16 cameras, again, holding shift, but he was showing just 1 through 8 by default. I think he actually forgot that he could actually go up to 16 because he did make a comment. I can't see there being more than 8 cameras, but obviously I see 9, 10, 11, 12 through 16 on the buttons as well. So obviously there must be a shift button on there somewhere. Oh yeah, there's a 9 through 16 button cam wise. I see it there. That would get you, so you could easily bring in 16 views into the replay DaVinci Resolve to be able to get a quick replay. And the software itself, so that's what so that just gives you a size of, so it's not a full 19-inch wide, but it's there. So that's an overhead shot of him actually doing his demo with it. And this is the setup that he actually was demoing there live on the video, where he was actually taking feeds from 8 of the HyperDecks that actually had the SSD models. And he was actually bringing that into the Cloud Store Max, for his 48 terabyte one. Yes, there is a new 48 terabyte Cloud Store 1U rack mount, all using M.2 drives. And then it's going into that Ether switch 360p. And then from there, he's going into, I guess that would be is that the presenter? I'm not sure why that doesn't have a model name on it. Then it's getting the SDI fill and key outputs if needed for the replay.
Did you describe the presenter for Frank and the audience?
Presenter for, So what I was going to quickly say about this was the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. This is where the only reference to the mini line was this, and that was because the replay will be available for that. And you asked me which one, John?
The presenter.
Oh,
web presenter. I think you showed it.
No, it's a presenter. It's for the presenter.
Oh,
so
the presenter.
It comes to the front of the room. You plug your laptop into it, and you then connect to your thing on the wall, whatever it is on the wall, and it has the audio in. So it allows the presenter of the organization to be connected into everything else with a dedicated device for them. And there's remote control. So if you want to take away control from the laptop and put up a holding screen while the presenters are changed over, then you can do that. And it's got all the audio connection for the presenter as well. Although
So it's for bring your own device?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So presenters walk up to the podium, they plug in their laptop, and then they're in the system?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So that's what, so that is what, for some reason, there we go. There, I'm switching over now. There we are. So so there's the back of it that we were just talking about. So again, the PC video in, so you don't even have to have, even if they have an HDMI out and maybe the HDMI doesn't work for whatever reason, you can actually go USB-C to USB-C in the back of this so that it recognizes it as if it's a USB-C monitor.
Do you have a picture of the front?
And it's got the converters as well.
There you
So
go.
if you've got a silly display, an older display for your HDMI to go out to, you can do a conversion. Got the converters built into it. So you don't have a mismatch problem with a laptop being on 4K and your big screen behind you turns out to only be 1080 and it can't cope with it.
Yeah, and this again, if you're running at the actual event, this is a 2110 IP based model. Again, could you use it with the 12G SDI out? Yes, you could. But again, it does have the IP 2110 built into it, so you could even utilize that as well. And that would benefit you. Would just have to run Ethernet back to your switching location at the venue.
Yeah, there was everything was IP 2110 and 4K. If you went to this presentation cold without knowing the company, you wouldn't think they had anything HD anymore.
Yeah, it was actually I was starting to see that, and it was like, they're all in. They're not going after any other technology. They're all in on IP 2110, and that showed because So here's all the new IP 2110 models, from baby converters to half converters to half, again, fitting on their shelf ones. And yes, Frank, I could send you that, by the way. And then you got your full four IP converter, 4 input output, 8 input output. So single, quad, 8-way, and then your individual module ones as well, depending on what you want to break out from IP 2110 to. So it was definitely interesting. It was a well spent 2 hours and 40 odd minutes, John, today. It was going a bit long. I was actually going. I know you and I had spoken about it
I think it's the longest I've seen. I'm pretty sure it's the most products they've announced in one go. I can't think of any other years where they had so many products to announce.
Yeah, the next closest for me would have been them launching the ATEMs when they started launching all the different, just amount of models, not necessarily different capabilities, but the amount of models of going from 4-channel, 8-channel, and such. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. Now, I guess the infamous question is to the audience, of course, if anybody's still watching us. So who's going to be spending money next week? No, I'm kidding. Or the following week.
I was going to get an ME, and I'm glad to see now I've got a better choice of where to go for my MEs. So that's good for me.
Right. So yeah, should be interesting. Again, this is going to be an important week. So anybody that has, it was an important week for us this week. Frank, I don't know if you knew about the Canadian show equivalent of NAB, because a lot of the people that were at the show this week went to.
I knew it was happening. I didn't pay any attention, but I knew it was happening.
Yeah. So that's, again, we were not present. We did not have a booth at the show, but again, we met up with a lot of our dealers there and such.
Where was it? In Toronto?
Montreal.
Montreal this time, eh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they do have multiples a year, but this is the big one where they actually rent out the big conference center in Montreal. So, multiple booths, everybody had their setup. And again, this is This is our only currently physical in person industry like NAB-ish trade show. And you notice all the caveats I used there. So that it was important for us to be there to meet our dealers and such. It's starting to ramp up again. But again, there was not, in our opinion, not that great of a turnout. But it's starting to ramp up again ever since COVID, because COVID did a good job of hurting the trade show market, as we know. And in Canada, we're definitely a different breed here in Canada. So our market is not as big as the US when it comes to AV related stuff, but there is still a lot of capabilities up here. But again, as we've probably discussed here in the Zoom Test Kitchen quite often, it's gotten to the point now where if it can be done on Zoom without physically needing the physical to touch and feel the product, you know, even right now for all of us that are not going to NEB, with the amount of information that we got from Blackmagic today and him doing the 2.5 hour, give or take, YouTube live stream, that was perfectly fine for us. It gave us enough of a taste. But again, I don't expect the Blackmagic booth to be any smaller than it was last year. Let's put it that way. Which is basically looks like a baby village. And when you walk in there.
I have to check eBay in a couple of weeks and see what's on the used market.
Yeah, John liked that one too. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. Because again, depending on, well, I do know, as far as when I was curious to actually see how many people were actually watching the live stream, they had over 5,300 of us watching at that particular point. So they definitely had an audience watching.
A lot of people are doing their budgets right now for the upcoming year. I know we are, and you know, decisions are being made. If you were waiting for this announcement to pull the trigger, or at least decide what you wanted.
Yeah, and so if anybody does use, I'm just going through some of the notes I made quickly here. If anybody is into using the Blackmagic Cloud, they are doing a couple of things there. They're actually going to come up with rental licenses now. So if you've in the past gotten licensing from them, from my understanding, and again, I don't use the Blackmagic Cloud service, but from my understanding, John, and correct me if I'm wrong, up until now, it's been monthly, if not per use. And I think now they're actually going like on a rental license, which is going to be best for the broadcasts and the video production guys, because a lot of them will, because again, it gives them a flat fee to be able to bill their client while they're actually using the cloud to do editing and such, where they want to store video in the cloud. But the one big thing for me, being a bit of a codec nerd, was the Blackmagic coming out with their own IP10 codec, which it's sounding like, from my note, it's sounding like they're actually going to have it come out at no cost, meaning that it's going to be a royalty-free codec. So that is interesting to me. So I will be digging into that more myself. There was an actual reference to our SRT streaming being capable out of the URSAs, so that was interesting. The one concern I did have though was I was at least expecting some potential, at least extra features in the firmware of the A10 Mini line, but crickets would be the official answer. John, were you expecting anything there, or was it just me?
Well, I think a lot of the stuff that they did isn't really applicable anymore, is it? It's it's no good having the protocol because you don't have the definition to send it. So I have noticed that a lot of the recent updates haven't done anything for ATEMs.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know why they would ban on that, considering how well they've done on it. So that is interesting to me too. On the corporate level.
Does Blackmagic only have one show a year, or can they introduce it later? Like,
well, if it's no, the next one would be for them. Infocom would be my thought. Infocom is not as big for them though, where NAB is.
But
But
ATEM minis and stuff are more like churches and prosumer level. They don't really. Couldn't they just have an event online to do something
Sure.
like that?
sure, and again, I don't expect because I don't know if he was truly live today from Australia, but I don't. He hasn't gone. John, am I right saying that he did not go last year to NAB either? The owner? I'm trying to remember his name.
I don't think so. I think they have a very good process here. Launch it a week earlier. Get their name out first, and at NAB, everybody's going to be announcing new products. And the first question is, what is it like compared to the Blackmagic X? And that's what
Yeah.
everybody will be doing. And it's
Yeah.
a great way to lead the market.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, I don't. He did encourage everybody to go to NAB because they, again, if you haven't been at their NAB booth, Blackmagic NAB booth, it looks like you're in a baby village, because you're basically walking in, and then all of a sudden it just it keeps going and going and going. They've got everything along walls. They've got things in the middle of the floor. I don't even want to know, and I know basically what a basic cost of a booth is at NAB. I don't even want to know what they're paying because it would probably hurt my feelings. Needless to say. But yes, it is very large, their booth usually. I haven't looked at the map this year, but I don't expect it to be any smaller. Let's put it that way. It would be, if it is smaller, then I definitely am curious why it is. Yeah, so as I was saying, the Extreme ISO work with replay soon is what I actually wrote down for myself. And again, the great thing that I did notice, John, I don't know if you caught this or not, but they actually were using, in the demo rack, they had Ubiquity Switcher, the Ubiquity Switch that was actually doing all the 10 gig. So I thought that was interesting. It's like, why would that be there? Oh, John's already scouring the eBays. He's looking for 2MEs. Anybody? YouTube? Anybody looking? Go to eBay. Didn't take long. Only took a couple hours. It's only been a couple hours since. Oh, got to get rid of it. I'm getting the 4K. That's going to be the scenario now. Is everybody going to go from the HD model up to the 4K model? Considering a lot of people went after the normal progression that I've seen, again, with a lot of the influencers that I follow, has been a lot of them were on the A10 Mini Pro. Then they went the Extreme. When the Extreme came out, ISO or non, depending on your workflow. And then the next one after that is everybody went after the 2ME equivalent rack mountable of the ATEM Extreme. And they still kept their ATEM Extreme ISOs to actually do the ISO recording and went the 2ME route rack mount because it isn't ISO. So again, the Constellation rack mounts are not ISO. So if you do go after the Constellation models, you do need some sort of recording. So you would have to do similar to what he did today during the demo and actually have, again, depending on how you route everything through, you would have to go from the camera to the hyperdeck or out of the camera. Go ahead, John.
No, don't I remember that you can record locally on the camera and then you can pull down the recording afterwards?
That, yes, as long as you're talking about using either the Blackmagic Studio camera.
Yeah.
Right, the studio camera or the Pocket Studio? Is it Pocket Studio? I don't have all the Blackmagic names off the top of my head, but I think Pocket Studio 4K. Does that sound right, John?
Well, I call it the G2, but maybe I've got it wrong. But yeah, so you can record locally, and then you can now go in through the network and grab the download, automate that,
right,
and therefore keep it.
Right, and again, so it's the Pocket Cinema the Pocket Cinema line. So yes, as long as there is some sort of recording in the cameras, yes. But again, I don't know, and John, unless you caught it and I didn't, because there was so many tidbits that were flying that I was trying to keep up with everything. If the replay will actually work based on the recordings happening in the cameras.
No, I don't think it will. I don't think
No.
it will.
Yeah, the closest I think you will get with that again is he did say later this year is doing it in the extreme ISO, and that is he mentioned, and again I'm going to off the top of my head, and I'm hopefully remembering this correctly. It is so all the files would come over the Ethernet, but the control information comes over the USB. So the USB and of course, the computer has to be on the same network IP-wise as the switcher to be able to access the ISO files in the actual extreme. But the USB will actually do, from DaVinci Resolve, will actually send the commands, where in the other scenario, I think that's happening over the actual IP2110, where Extreme does not have IP2110, so they cannot send the commands over IP2110. They have to send it via the USB. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what I caught in the video. And again, we'll know that when it gets released, when they are releasing that firmware, and it's supposed to be soon. But it's not ready now, not as of the launch. The other thing that was interesting to me, especially for our international people that are watching, is that they are actually making the DaVinci Resolve color grading unit, one that had the 3 roller balls on it. They're actually making that one in other languages besides English. So you could actually get the actual panel itself in your preferred language. So English, French, etc., Spanish, etc., etc., etc. So that is also going to be available, which they aren't doing right now, interestingly or not, on the am I remembering the name? Micropanel? Again, everything's the new names. Yeah, on the micropanel, they are strictly only saying that's English right now. You didn't make it a highlight anyways that it's going to be in a different language. But yeah, so it was very, very, very interesting. And also no mention of anything which was also big. Can't remember if that was last year at NAB or not, was the television studio models that also had the ISOs in it. And he did not mention that they're going to have the capability of doing the replay, which again, you would think they should, because especially the Television Studio HD8 ISO is basically an extreme ISO on steroids per se, that's got the built-in M.2 drive in it. So potentially there might be that one too. It again probably would be the same situation where it's over IP again, and also over USB doing the commands. IP getting the data and USB doing the commands to give it information that it wants from the ISO recordings. Okay. All right. Any other questions? I think the Zoom Test Kitchen has actually gone very quiet on us, John. So we'll say bye, everybody. And tune in next week, and then we'll go into, as I like to call it, the dining room post show. So we'll see you next week again, same time. And Adam, take care. And again, join us on Discord, Adam, and we'll be able to discuss a little more there, and then you can join us next week. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you